McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. I believe today is September 25th. I'm not exactly sure what day of the week it is. Today, Wednesday?
Yes.
I think.
Can confirm.
TBD.
Didn't want to get mad today. Wanted to come in, have a good day, back in town. Hadn't seen the family since Thursday. And then I get a text from John this morning. Why is that funny?
My first thought was, oh crap, what did I say? Then I remembered, I sent a text.
Too. I pulled up the Mac and Cube text. I was like, hang on, what did he say?
What did I say? I was like, crap, did I mention slide protection somehow?
Oh,
did I
well have.
Did I say,
Even
PFF's
worse.
the greatest thing out there? I was like, oh wait, no. I just put in the group chat a tweet that was sent out there from, I think, McMurphy, if I recall.
Fred
Okay.
McMurphy.
Yeah.
I don't see what the problem is. I think quitting on your team is fine.
I will give a couple people credit that I've already seen this morning that at least are using the correct verbiage, as you just did. Because there are going to be people that coddle this kid. There are going to be people that talk around this move that say, free market negotiation. And all y'all are pitiful people if you say that. You're a bad person if you say that. I'm just going to be honest. The situation is UNLV starting quarterback Matt Sluka says he's going to redshirt and won't play the rest of the season, a.k.a. quits on his team. Quit on his team right now. Right now. In the middle, by the way, of a historic run for the UNLV running Rebs. Sluka tweets out a graphic. It's, by the way, has the UNLV logo and says, thank you. I will say this. If I'm Barry Odom or the athletic director at UNLV, if someone made this graphic for him, you're fired.
Cease and desist.
You're gone.
Right.
Get our logo off your graphic, number one. Then he has a notepad screenshot of, I have decided to utilize my red shirt year and will not be playing in any additional games this season, a.k.a. I quit. I committed to UNLV based on certain representations that were made to me, which were not upheld after I enrolled. Bull expletive. Despite discussions, it became clear that these commitments would not be fulfilled in the future. I wish my teammates best of luck this season and hope for continued success of the program. You wish your teammates luck, yet you quit on your teammates. You quit on your teammates, but you wish them luck. I don't feel how does that work?
Still his teammates?
No.
Okay.
Great point also.
Should be former teammates then?
Yes.
Okay.
People who I once shared a locker room with. UNLV, by the way, in the coaches poll, currently ranked 23rd.
And take on they were our adopted sons. I don't know about after this, but they take on our other adopted sons, Fresno State, this week.
They do take on Fresno State.
They're gonna get smoked. I'm a Fresno guy now.
They open Mountain West competition against Fresno. They are 3-0. Wins at Kansas, Utah Tech, and at Houston. We have told you about the offense, how much we like to watch it run. The go-go offense that they go with. It's really cool. And I'll say this first and foremost. I know what happened. And when I watched the film of Matthew Sluka, he's crafty.
Yes.
He's energetic. He's got some guts to him. I'll give him that.
Yes. All true. And
he ain't that guy
no.
throwing the football.
No, he is the furthest thing from that guy.
Let me explain to you, Matthew Sluka, what guy you are not. Have representation come in on bye week and demand obscene amount of money guy. That's what guy you are not. But if you want to pretend to be that guy, I have a feeling that we're all going to find out how it plays out here soon. So good luck with that. Because here's the other part of this, Greg. We've had Barry Odom on the show. There's one name that's behind his program that I would be willing to bet, no matter how obscene the money was, if that coaching staff felt like that he was a must-have to win games, would probably step up to the plate with a check. If you're not familiar with the Fertitta family, just do a Google search. And you'll probably find more 5 stars than Gusty Goulas. because those guys have made a boatload of money over the course of their lives. So if they really needed it for a guy that they really thought was that guy, I have a feeling they could have come up with the funds. So welcome to today's college football. Some of it is completely disgusting, Greg.
So based on my understanding of the situation, post Kansas, Sluka walks in. I want $300K. Barry Odom says, there's the door. Sluka says, I'm redshirting. He is not the only one that's doing this, guys. Like, this is not an isolated incident for a guy whose completion percentage is right above 43%.
He was 7 of 18 in said game in which you said he went in and negotiated against.
Can confirm. And on those 18 throws, 6 of which were off target by my count. So when your off target percentage is north of 33% in a performance, it's not usually very good. When your off target percentage this season is around 28%, that puts you, I don't know, quick math, that puts you, just for the record, in what I like to call triple dig category. And those of you that have listened to this show know that if you're triple dig in anything, you got problems. And triple dig means you rank in the hundreds. And the national average for off-target percentage, by the way, is a cool 11.8%. Matthew Sluka is 131st out of 131. Not discrediting the kid at all. I think he's gotten bad advice. I might add that he's 131 and the guy that's 130, Evan Svoboda from Wyoming, he's 7 percentage points better than Matthew Sluka. So he's not just 131st, but he's 131st by a mile. So what I would add is that there's bad representation out there. We got to get these street agents out of the game because these guys don't know what's good for the kid. They are convincing kids who live in a confined space. There's a confined space that you have as a player of 4 years, maybe 5, and in some oddball COVID-related years,
9.
You might have 6. All right? You might even have 7, but it's a very short window into your life, and you only get a couple of opportunities to make these decisions. It's ironic because Meredith and I talked about this last night, thinking, goodness gracious alive, what if you, Meredith, would have gone to North Carolina? What if I would have gone to USC? Where you decide to go to school is the single-handedly the most influential decision you might ever make in your life. It might be the biggest decision you've ever made, and to make it as a 17-year-old kid is really, really difficult. Well, these kids are making countless bad decisions. This is one of them, and we now are going to probably never see Matthew Sluka play at the highest levels of the sport again when he could have very easily led a playoff run this year. It's sickening to me how misguided the system is at the moment.
And there's part of this, Greg, that I'm happy, I'm excited that it's out there. Because like you said, I've told the story on air. We had an SEC player in one of our games last year that was not going to go and was being reported was not going to go, and there was no injury information, and the coach told us that he probably wasn't going to play. And then some different information came out after we met. And then a couple minutes before the game, coach told me, literally walking onto the field, he says he's going to go. Well, after doing some further investigating, similar situation as we're talking about here, except literally minutes before a football game. I've had other coaches tell us, we've shared with you the redshirt thing, that some of it might not even be negotiating for NIL, but a lot of these kids are getting 4 games, and they're saying, hey, coach, I'd love to practice for you and help and stay on scholarship and be able to still eat at the cafeteria, but I'm not playing any more games. And certain coaches like Sam Pittman told him, kick rocks. We don't need you.
Good.
Other coaches like Lincoln Riley publicly stated, so-and-so is going to practice with us and help our team be better, but he's going to look for another place to play next year. My response would be like hell you are. I don't mind it. I don't think he would mind if I put his name on this. Shane Beamer, similar situation. Told the kid, I will help you get wherever you need to go. But what you will not do is be in this facility while my players are in this facility. You have access to everything here that you need after this time every day because our guys are not going to be in here, which would be my biggest concern if you did take the approach of wanting to help the guy and letting him be around. Is by God, you ain't going to be near my locker room and my players because why would they not be recruiting you to come with them? There's a level of insanity happening right now, and I'm not sure that we're close to getting to the end of it. G-Mac, I just don't know how we do.
No, we don't. The only way we do is transparency. And hey, every single dollar that's out there needs to be out there. And if someone is going to Matthew Sluka's representation and hinting at him, hey, guess what? There's going to be this money bag on the other side of the portal. If you enter the portal, we have something for you. Then whoever's doing that, the hammer needs to drop down on them. Like this whole, hey, we don't throw stones in glass houses. We don't do this. We don't do that. And let's be real, guys. Your school's tampering. My school's tampering. Cole's school's tampering. Everybody's tampering because no one really knows what tampering is. Like, remember last year when everyone was up in arms about Iowa tampering with Caden Proctor? I think a coach saying, hey, hang in there, you're going to be fine, to me, is not tampering, but in the eyes of the NCAA, it's tampering. Like, we need clear, documented language that illustrates what tampering is. And in the event in which you violate said tampering rules, you have mass implications. And I'm talking like fines, because we can fine now at the conference level. Why can't we fine? I'm talking postseason eligibility bans, potentially, if necessary. Like, tampering needs to be done away with. And then the other thing, too, we really need to make sure that guys are certified that are representing players. Like in the NFL, which, by the way, is one of the easiest certifications you can get, there are levels of certifications that you have to go through in order to represent players. Want to know why? Because it's important for us to weed out the bad actors. And I'm not saying that every agent's a good guy in the NFL. Quite the opposite, probably. But at least there are some hurdles to becoming a player representative. In college, there's none. All you have to do is direct message a guy, say this and that, suggest, here's what I got, flash a couple of maybe expensive watches and a nice car, and next thing you know, you're legit. So we need to do a better job of making sure that these agents are certified. And then lastly, when a player does this, we need to put the information out there, because this is not Matthew Sluka by himself. This is everywhere. And if you think, hey, guess what? We're at the 4-game point right now. If you think he's the only one that isn't going into his coach's office suggesting or leveraging the portal entrance to get what he wants, you're crazy. This is happening all over the place. A ton of guys are doing it. It's really disappointing. It puts strain on the coaches and the players' relationship. And we need to make sure that these things are a thing of the past. And we need to make sure that they're out in the open. So I hate what's going on for Barry Odom. I hate what's going on for Matthew Sluka, because I think he's getting bad advice, because a playoff run at UNLV would be historic. And I'm not saying they're a shoe-in to make the playoff, but they got a shot. And you would forever be revered within that program if you led the charge on that playoff run. And yet he values that $300,000 more than the playoff run. And that is misguided value. Yes, that playoff run right now, the amount of money that you could cash in is not tangible. I cannot tell you a specific amount that you will make, but I can assure you that over the course of time, UNLV boosters will be there to support you. Nick Khan is the WWE president and CEO, UNLV grad. There are many other people out there like that that are powerful, that are UNLV people that would support UNLV players that were a part of a historic run. So that's my soapbox. It makes me mad like you, buddy. It makes me frustrated for our friend Barry Odom. It makes me frustrated for college football, but it is what it is. I just hope that these things eventually get weeded out because of the bad examples that are cast aside. And let's remember Matthew Sluka's name. Let's remember him, and let's see where he goes next year and what kind of success he has, because that will be a good precedent for people that might try to go down this route in the future.
Transferred in from Holy Cross. 44% completed on the season. 314 yards in 3 games passing. We will discuss this with Trent Dilfer next on Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Wednesday, September 25th, right here on Jocks 94.5. UAB head coach Trent Dilfer joins us each and every Wednesday. And oftentimes, certain things fall into our lap, and he has been a pure joy to discuss them with around college football. And, Coach, I'm not sure if you have seen this news with Matthew Sluka out of UNLV, but apparently after 4 games, has gone to his coaching staff and demanded an NIL raise. He's completed 44% on the season, by the way. How would you handle this with one of your players mid-season, especially if you guys were things were going your way, things were rolling along, looking good, and came to you and said, I'm not going to play anymore unless you can meet me here financially?
Whew, it's a tough one. I think I'd take the approach I've tried to take as a coach, as a leader, which is first kind of dive into their why, get to understand what their perspective is, what information they're getting. Does he understand the consequences of this decision he may make or may not make? If I had committed something or the collective had committed something to a player and we had not upheld that commitment, I actually can see the reason for coming in. What I try to direct the player back to is, are you part of something bigger than yourself? I mean, I think UNLV, Barry's got to be doing a great job based on their success of developing a bond, a brotherhood, that those players are playing for something bigger than just themselves. I think any good team is built that way. So I'd kind of try to get him back thinking about his commitment to his teammates. But I mean, if it's a demand because, hey, we're 3-0 and I need more money, if that is truly the context, after exploring, kind of the player's why, and if that was the answer, I would just say next. Okay, cool. Peace. We'll move on to the next guy, because I think the long tail of a player that has that type of selfish motivation is ultimately going to hurt your team anyways. I mean, he's going to have the ball in a critical situation that helps you win a conference game. And if he's only thinking about himself instead of instead of his teammates, instead of how to win the game, then it's going to backfire on you anyway. So you move on from those types of players. But again, I don't know the full context here, but I'd truly try to dive into their why.
It's insane. I think there's a couple things that we absolutely need to do. One, we have to drop the hammer from a tampering standpoint. Like, we need to properly articulate what tampering is. Like, to me, is maintaining a relationship tampering? I don't know. I don't know the answer to these things. But I think
Greg, Greg, I hear you. The problem is this: who's going to regulate it? Like in the NFL, as you know, they have an entire Park Avenue office that does this. So you can't get away with it. You can't oversee 133 teams. There's not enough personnel. The NCAA cannot possibly regulate. I mean, I know right now players in our team that are being talked to by Power 4 teams. There's nothing you can do. I can call that coach. I can turn it in. Literally nothing will happen. So I don't think that's changing. I keep saying to people, listen, you can complain about it. You can hate it. You can whine about it. It ain't changing. It's only growing. It's only going to get worse. So you got to find a solution internally instead of complaining about the problem.
It's a fair assessment, a fair take, and one that I think a lot of people would want to, but I think would have a hard time taking, especially in a situation like this, Coach, because it's difficult to think about your team's doing things the right way and you're going on, and all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, I need a bigger check. Just be tough to handle. I hope I can handle situations that approach my life like this the way that you said that you would like to try to handle situations, because I'm not sure that I could. I would like to. So
I'm trying. I'm not saying I'm doing it right. Based on my record, I'm not doing it right, but I am trying to do it the right way.
What have you looked at your team this year and said that you guys are doing things right, that you love about your the way that you're handling things, your approach, the way things are going on the field?
I love this group. I really do. They are fun to coach. They're good kids. They bring it every single day. They're trying to get better. They're self-examining and trying to correct areas in their life where their habits haven't been, term I'd use is professional to this point. This coaching staff it's young, it's energetic, they're trying to get better every day. They don't blame kids when things don't go their way. A lot of coaches are the CYA group and, blame other people. That's not the staff. We got a lot of good things going. I keep telling them, and I don't know what's going to happen this week. I don't know what's going to happen the week after that. But I know we're getting better. I know they're doing things every day that help them get better on and off the field. We still struggle with details. I think the whole building does. I go into a bathroom and there's paper towels on the floor and, it's kind of in disarray. You go down the locker room and it's not consistently taking care of your own space and being respectful to others. There's things, equipment's left out on the field. As the note taking at a professional standard, not yet. There's some things that I truly believe the way you do small things is the way you will do all things. So there's some areas that we constantly struggle with, and it shows up on the field with penalties or with missed assignments or lack of communication. But they're getting better, so you're looking at progress, you're looking at growth. This growth mindset term is so kind of esoteric these days, but it is true. Like when you get a group of people that are trying to actively chase their best and get better, good things are coming. I always think the litmus test is this. My last year at Lipscomb, I don't know if I've told this story, so tell me to shut up if I have. My goal when I got there was one day I could not go to practice and nobody would know I wasn't there. To me, that's when you have a great organization. So late in my last year, I had all the coaches stay up in my office in the indoor and watch the kids go out. And they kind of looked around. Edwin Spillman now at Tennessee, Junior Sherrill now at Vanderbilt. These guys, Nate Spillman, who's at Tennessee, Hunter High, who plays baseball at Tennessee, a bunch of guys that were, dudes. And I watched, and they started warm-up, they started special teams, and they started practice without us. And nothing changed. And I couldn't do that with this group yet because it's not internally, it doesn't have that intrinsic motivation quite yet. It needs us to pull them along instead of them pulling us along. And that's really what I'm aiming to do here. I don't think we're there yet, but I'm seeing signs of there are some guys in this team that get it. They have moral authority. And at some point, we'll sit up here in this office and watch them go start a practice. And the practice might even be better without us out there.
What do you think about just how your team now in year number 2, and this kind of is universal, whether it's, Hugh Freeze or other guys that are in year 2, how much more comfortable are the guys with implementation of adjustments on game day? Because I feel like year 1, sometimes it's like, man, I felt like we looked at coach sometimes with 3 heads. But in year 2, it's like, we've made this adjustment before. It just was more smooth on game day itself. Look, practice is practice, off season's off season. Familiarity is helpful there, but on game day, it really pays dividends. Have you noticed that with your team?
Getting there, I know exactly what you're talking about because I've been part of that where it's just awesome. You're like, oh, we fixed it in the middle of the first quarter. Now we're going to go down.
Exactly. You fix it the second drive, not the 8th. You know what I mean? Like, it's just something about that. I can't wait for that moment. I still think they look at it like I have 2 heads instead of 3 sometimes because here's why. You have to emotionally regulate as a player to then be able to digest that type of information within a game situation. And that's why I always believe when you're taking over any organization, any team, you're in a leadership position, you have to get your people to first understand themselves. Because in the moment when things get heated and hot and you're emotionally stirred up, you have to know how to bring yourself to a place where you can listen, clear your mind, clear your head, have perspective, and then change the way you're doing things. But when you're emotionally riled up, you can't. Like you get in a fight with your wife, and it's the dumbest thing ever, but you're in, and you're emotionally invested, and you can't think clearly, and then you just take it on the chin like I do. Like that's kind of how players react. You can't give them information that they can process properly unless they have emotionally regulated themselves to a point where they can receive it. So a lot of it is getting that piece. Now, I thought we made huge strides in the Arkansas game, like
monumental changes in the Arkansas game with our ability to just calm our minds. What are we focused on? What's the next challenge? Go attack the next challenge. So I think we're getting there, Greg, but we're not close to what me and you have experienced. Drive to, oh, great coach, got it, won't be an issue again.
Trent Dilfer joining us on the Buyers Right Hotline. 11 a.m. Saturday morning, ESPN2. Navy comes to town. They're 3-0. We know what the offense is. We know the difficulties that come with it. How far past this week has your preparation gone specifically for this group?
What do you mean by that?
Further back, was this something you worked like during the summer? You spent a day in the spring? Like how far back do you actually start preparing for this? Of course, not week in, week out, day in, day out, but
well, we started the triple, right? The base veer triple in summer. Tried to touch on it in camp, but we also this guy's new. This new coordinator that does new stuff. So he's combined this like whimsical offense that is pro style play action combined with triple elements, with veer, with C gap power run game. I mean, this thing's crazy. It is. Mort and I are going to study it at the end of the year because there's something to it now. I mean, there is the challenges it presents for a defense, I think, are more so than even some of the creative things that many of us are doing around college football. Because you just have to go all in on a couple things or they're going to just bleed you out. Fullback, quarterback, C-gap run game, triple stuff. Like those three things alone, you have to devote so many defensive resources to that then all of a sudden they've added these, some people say spread elements, but really what there is are pro-style action elements. And they just get you to take the cheese and then you're done. That's why they create so many explosives. So it's been a challenge. It is a real, I had to look at this offense and try to, not help. Our defense coaches are great, but to like somehow give perspective to what he is trying to do from a play caller standpoint, because it is a dynamic offense and it is very difficult to defend.
We appreciate your time each and every week, Coach. Love your transparency, love your honesty, and wish you the best of luck this weekend, and we'll catch up next week.
Give me 15 more seconds. You broke me. You broke me with your 419. I
told you it's a bogus bike.
I'm telling
you. It doesn't matter. Now he's in my head. Last night, I'm using a morning workout guy. I'm shifting to the nights. Last night I got on knowing I had this interview. I'm like, okay, I'm going to get him. And 10 minutes in, I was on pace to get you, and my body literally shut down.
Yep, I've had a lot of those days.
Oh, my gosh. I'm a broken man. You're the reason I'm broken.
Well, I appreciate it. And listen, Greg's going to talk to me about the, what's it called? Orchestrating my bike. Organizing my, what's the word? Calibrating my bike. I don't know how to get that done, but I'm glad to do it if y'all think it's broken. So
it is.
You're a beast, brother.
Thanks, Coach. We'll talk to you next week.
See you guys. All right. Bye.
Trent Dilfer joining us on the Buyers Right Hotline. Apparently, the college football fan world is angry at me now. We'll discuss why next on Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. People are angry. We'll get to that here in just a moment. It is 7:37 a.m. Wednesday, September 25th. Jocks 94.5. Watch live on YouTube. Search Jocks 945, and you can tune in every day like that. Also, jocksfm.com, the app. You get all of it on the app. The podcast, watch live, listen live, however you want to do it. Search WJOX in your app store. Before we let everybody know why I'm in trouble with the college football fan public, Greg, tell our listeners about Bromberg's.
Well, Bromberg's going to provide that luxury shopping experience that you'll only find at a store that has been helping and serving this community for nearly 200 years. They opened in 1836. You're going to get that luxury shopping experience that you'll only find at Bromberg's. Right now, in their Mountain Brook store, they are personally having pieces from Annie Glass engraved by Annie Morehauser, who is the artist behind Annie Glass, at the Mountain Brook store. So go and get that right now. I actually might head over there today. I really do. I got some gifts I got to buy. I got some things I need to buy for some people. Got a wedding coming up in the family, so a lot of things to look forward to. Might have to head over there and check out Annie Morehauser at the Mountain Brook store. They're the artist behind Annie Glass. So go check them out. You can learn more about that event at brombergs.com. That's brombergs.com, and you can always go and get that luxury experience that is only going to be had at Bromberg's in Mountain Brook Village in the Summit, or you can shop online at brombergs.com.
It is amazing to me, and I think it shows you a little bit of where we are right now, Greg. And I've said this. I spoke to the Atlanta Touchdown Club yesterday afternoon, and there were a couple of high school players there. And during my speech, when I was talking about some of the things that they did and kind of where they are, I said, this is the best time ever to be a college football player, ever. I mean, you can go renegotiate your deal 4 weeks into the season when you've completed 44% of your passes for 318 yards in 3 games. You just go right in there right now, renegotiate the whole thing. Also, I will just say this quickly, and I know there's a lot of you that do and a lot of you that don't. We really don't. Blessed Trinity in high school in Atlanta, DJ Jacobs, okay? Sophomore defensive lineman. I'm just going to tell you right now, this is one you need to remember the name. DJ Jacobs, sophomore, Blessed Trinity High School, Atlanta, Georgia. Keep your eyes on that one. That's all I'm going to say.
How many stars? He's a
sophomore.
5-star plus?
He's a sophomore, so I don't think he has stars yet, but he is the number 2 player in his class nationally.
5-star plus?
6'6", 230.
As a
defensive end, outside linebacker, sophomore.
As a sophomore in high school.
Yes.
Oh boy.
But did you when you met with him yesterday, did you get into a 2-point stance and see if he can speed the power on you?
I did say I feel like we needed at least do a pass rush rep, and then I said I'm not sure I want that.
Just one rep. Just give the people what they want.
He got like the Player of the Week award. There were a couple kids that did, and they introduced him and they're asking about his upcoming game. And I guess there's another high-profile prospect in this game. And they said, you got this school coming up and this guy plays there. Like, what do you think? And he said, all the team stuff, like we got to play within our scheme. We got to be disciplined, blah, 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 whatever. He asked him another question, and he's like, what's the mindset? What's the goal? And he said, basically anybody who steps in front of me gets destroyed. And I was like, that's my guy. I'll take him. I don't care how fast he is. I don't care how flexible he is. Like, I want that dude on my team. So I tweeted out, could have been a mistake, maybe not. Don't care. Pete Nakos tweeted, UNLV quarterback Matthew Sluka announced he is leaving the team because of representations that were not upheld. Rebels 3-0, ranked 23 in the coaches poll, blah, blah. I quoted tweet and said, quote, quitting the team, fixed it for you. I do feel like we need accurate verbiage here, which, by the way, regardless of how it's played out, done, you believe, don't believe, is it not accurate that he quit on his team? No matter what happened with the money.
100%.
Jay, what if your employer wasn't paying you what you agreed to?
Are you calling them employees now?
That's right.
That where we at?
Sarchasm Vol. So I assume this means you're anti-NIL because I don't see how you can be for compensation but against repercussions when those promises aren't kept.
How do you know they weren't kept?
Well done. So I'm guessing you wouldn't quit on ESPN if they stopped paying you. What would ESPN do if I walked in today and said, I want triple my money or I'm not calling the Texas-Mississippi State game this weekend?
I think it would
I might
work.
be
I
in a
think you
very
should
similar
try it.
situation as Matthew Sluka right now, by the way.
No,
Hey, you know what,
you wouldn't put out a graphic.
I'm not doing the 8 o'clock hour. I want double my money for this show. Like, it doesn't work that way. Come on.
Yeah, you wouldn't get a graphic.
Yeah, y'all wouldn't do graphics.
You
Come on now.
you wouldn't get
These kids are, here's my favorite thing. These kids are 17 years old. Like, that's like these kids are getting taken advantage of at 17 years old. Like, is he 17? Like, is everyone that's playing college football 17 now, or do we have 26-year-olds? Because I think the
We do have
linebacker at
26-year-olds.
Tennessee is 26. I think the quarterback at Utah is 25. The quarterback at Oklahoma State's 25. Like, I mean, there's more 25-year-olds than there are 17-year-olds.
You got some 29s.
Is there a
Right.
29 out there? There probably is.
Sir Barnes a lot. Just keep your promises, parentheses, or don't make promises you can't keep, and everyone's happy. Not hard to be men of integrity. I would say that applies to the quarterback here, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
JT Moon, he should just bend over and take it. UNLV boosters got their bluff called. Did they? Daniel, what did UNLV and or its football team promise him? Zach Mullis, how long you staying at ESPN if they quit paying you, Cole? I mean, it's wild that I'm just curious. Why does everybody believe that the kid is being 100% honest here? We just automatically assume that.
Because he put out a graphic.
Brian Kirk, what if ESPN didn't pay you? Connors Wigman, hey, at ESPN, just so you know, you can cut at Cole Cubelic pays in half. He'll keep showing up.
Oh, my God.
Like Milton from Office Space. Let's fix a glitch.
Well, that was a glitch, yeah. Those things get overlooked sometimes.
Josh Dubb, I wonder how long Cole will continue to do college football broadcasts if ESPN suddenly quit paying him.
People are weird.
I mean, it's
Like, it doesn't make sense.
Let me ask this. If we're more or less kind of treating this like the NFL, would it have been better for him to hold out rather than just up and quit? Or hold in, I guess, since that's what they're
I don't
doing
know.
now.
I mean, hold out. It's holding out is a little bit different. That would indicate that you're unhappy with your current contract. And he signed the contract, and clearly he was unhappy with it, so he just up and decided to quit. I think it's because probably his agent or, quote, representation seemingly thinks that he can get more, what he asked for elsewhere next year. So hopefully he gets that. But I don't know why the kid and the representation, if you will, are 100% totally supported by the court of public opinion, and nobody believes. Well, because UNLV can't talk about it. And because they're not allowed to talk about it, they're not allowed to tell their side of the story. But is that how
so they got out in front of it with a graphic.
Well, it would be, I can tell you this, our court system would be pretty screwed up if you only got to hear from the defense.
Jimmy Blair, this might be your worst tweet, Cole. If Sluka is telling the truth here, you couldn't be any more off base. Big if, partner.
Big if.
Right. There's a key word in that.
So you're definitively living in the if world. I'm not. Because even if you're right, he still quit on his team. Y'all don't have to like the verbiage, but that's what it is.
That's exactly what it is. Like
Evan Lundberg stopped working after he wasn't paid. Fixed it for you. Jory Alston. No, don't do that, Cole. NCAA broke the sport. Collectives are stupid. Pay the players and quit asking fans and alumni to pay for their team. It's all stupid. But the last person we're going to blame is the player. He was promised something and they didn't do it.
These poor players.
You don't know that.
Yeah, right. These poor players. Poor guys.
Actually, they're not poor. Like, he got paid. So,
True.
yeah.
That's insane.
I mean, this is 95% of them.
That's wild.
Yeah, but you also have to take into account that most people, just being honest, I think we put as a society a little too much stock in Twitter. Because I don't think, like, everybody that sees this story agrees with the people that are tweeting at you. I think Twitter happens to appeal to people that are going to sympathize with the player, which is perfectly fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but Twitter is not an indicator of, like, I don't think Twitter is a focus group representing every nook and cranny of the populace. Like, I think Twitter, you have a very vocal small percentage of the population that uses Twitter. So I wouldn't worry too much about it, pal. I think you're all right.
Oh no, I'm fine. I'm fine.
You
with
know,
it. I trust my information more than any of these guys on here. So,
yeah.
And like I said before, if you want to live in your world of ifs, if you think your information is valid or the information presented by said quarterback, which, by the way, if you're going to go this far to make this graphic, why not just lay it out there? I mean, if you're going this far with it, just say, I was promised $10,000 a month and I haven't gotten a check yet.
Right.
I'm done. And by the way, don't we currently have a player active in college football suing a school for this?
Maybe, kinda.
Yeah.
Take him to court. If it's that valid and you didn't get your money that they promised you, take him to court. But I bet that doesn't happen. We'll be back right after this. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. You want to get in on this Matthew Sluka conversation, you can do that. 800-239-9569, 800-239-WJOX. Kale Gundy coming up at 8 o'clock. We'll talk Oklahoma-Auburn. DJ Shockley, 8:30, will be with us. We will talk Georgia-Bama with him. And then Josh Sneed from SEC Short's going to be in studio 9 o'clock today. That'll be fun. They have an event coming up I want you to hear about. And I'm sure that we'll get some good laughs coming up in the 9 o'clock hour today here on the show. Before we continue to move on, GMAC, tell our listeners about B-Dry, especially on a day like today here in Central Alabama, how they can help them around their homes.
Yeah, the next couple days, I highly recommend going down to your basement or crawl space and just making sure, just being 100% certain there's no mold or mildew, there's no damp spots on the wall, because if there is, you could have a potential issue, and that mold might turn to mold that can be impactful to your family's health. That's why B-Dry is the only group I would trust when it comes to waterproofing. Largest waterproofing company in the country, strongest warranty in the business, the life of the structure warranty, and the best price where you don't have to pay $1 for 12 months and it's interest free. So go and check them out today at bdryalabama.com. That's bdryalabama.com. And you can also give them a call at 942-1976. That's 942-1976. bdryalabama.com.
All right, we get to our top three at this time each and every day. What do you have for us today, Damian?
Hold on 1 second. I was reading some text messages.
We have text on that topic?
Yeah.
We can go to those. That's fine.
Yeah.
By the way, 1993 today, the program was released.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
On another important day, which I won't bring up because, I know you hate it, but
Goodness
yes.
gracious.
Yeah.
The greatest sports movie ever made was released on this day, 1993.
We have somebody question, does this mean he gets his scholarship revoked?
I don't believe they can take your scholarship. I have had this conversation with certain coaches, and it's one of the reasons that coaches don't kick kids off the team as much anymore, because if you kick them off the team, they can stay in school. I believe legally they stay in school. So they take up a scholarship, they can come eat, and they still get their scholarship check, and that's as long as they want. That's my understanding of it. And maybe that's just at an SEC school that this happened at, or just in the Southeastern Conference. But I do know for a fact, I've had that conversation with a coach that said, the problem is if we're trying to open up scholarships, he's like, I need them to transfer. I need them to get out. If I kick them off the team, they can just go sit there. One conversation that I had with someone in the previous Auburn regime said, it was during spring practice. He said, we have 6 kids across the street hanging out in the dorm that could be practicing right now. But they're on scholarship and they're just going to school and they're not doing anything with us. They're not here for us. So where it is.
So now we actually have somebody that's not anti the quitting situation, because he says, Brandon texts in, he says, whatever happened to playing just because it's fun and let the money come whenever? I'm afraid this may be most likely the biggest mistake this kid will make, as to no matter what the reason is why he quit, he did quit. What will follow him throughout in every aspect of life, he'll be known as the kid who quit, as he should be.
So, I mean, that's, once again, I'll just say this. Let's hype, and Greg has information from one person. I have information from another person. Both those persons I trust more than anybody else on this situation. Anyone else. So I'll just say this one more time. Even if the kid is right and says he was promised something that he's not getting, is he quitting on his team?
Yes. Yes. There's no
Not
other way
important,
no other way to
He's
discuss
quitting
it.
on his teammates no matter what.
Not important.
Former
3-0.
teammates, because he quit.
3-0, ranked 23rd in the nation.
I want to
then
see
all
him
of a
walk in
sudden
that
hang up.
offensive line meeting room and say, nope, I'm out, guys. I know y'all busted y'all's ass to protect me, and I know y'all risk getting your knees taken out down there in the trenches and pass pro and run game, but I'm out of here.
See ya.
It's wild, man. It's wild.
Maybe my brain's wrong. I don't know. But here we are.
Kids these days.
We'll continue talking about it and visit with Kale Gundy on Oklahoma Auburn next. Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Wednesday, September 25th, 8 a.m. right here on Jocks 94.5. Going to get to Kale Gundy here in just a moment, talk Oklahoma. We have more responses coming in on this?
Yeah, we do. And they're understanding the text line. I understand there's a lot of things that people want to get off the chest, but these are like paragraphs they're sending.
No, we're going to skip those.
Yeah.
The shorter ones. But
Yeah,
thank you for responding, and thank you for listening to the show, and thank you for communicating with the
we
show.
definitely
We
do appreciate
that.
it. Brian texted in. He says, "So I go in this morning and ask for a raise, and I'm told no. Do I quit? No. I show them my worth and keep grinding, shaking my damn head."
Wow, a reasonable response.
Exactly. Bama Todd, he said, "I will trust a person plugged into college football, in parentheses, Cole Cubelic, with inside sources on what really happened over a resentful and selfish kid who quit on his team. The kid isn't telling the whole story, and regardless what he did, he quit on his team."
I didn't say he's a bad person.
Right.
I didn't say I don't like him. I didn't say he's a liar. I said he quit on his team, which
that's a fact.
Is not debatable. Not debatable. And as McElroy said earlier, you're going to try to throw in employment status now? Is he an employee?
Right.
I didn't know that they had employee status.
I'm not either.
I didn't know they wanted employee status.
Well, so you know what comes with it.
But it is, and you're going to get the people who say, well, kids have been exploited for 40 years, 100 years, whatever it is. That's why everybody takes side of the player. But that's fine. And as I stated before, there has never been a better time to be a college football player because you can literally renegotiate your deal every single day. And then you have options to play in 4 games and walk. And that year just didn't even count. Use it to go play somewhere else. And then you can just go play somewhere else.
I think it's hilarious that people that didn't play are trying to tell us how the players were exploited for as long as they were exploited. Well, I'll tell you this much. I'd love to be exploited all over again because playing college football is pretty dang fun. And my life has certainly benefited from that exploitation. That's for sure.
Football season has officially begun, which means you better be stocked up on Dale's seasonings in just 30 minutes. This ultimate grilling marinade will infuse your meats and veggies with unbeatable flavor, making every bite a game changer. Whether you're grilling steaks, burgers, or mixing into your favorite game day dips, Dale's versatility will elevate your tailgate spread from bland to bold. Don't settle for boring. Make Dale's seasoning your grilling MVP. Kale Gundy played his college football at Oklahoma, knows that program well, and also does radio now in Oklahoma City. Kale, what is the quick fix, quick answer for Oklahoma's offensive struggles that we've seen the last couple weeks?
You need to go out and get 5 new really good offensive linemen in the transfer portal and get them here by Saturday morning.
Based on how things are going, you could probably go get them right now. A lot of guys are hopping in. A lot of red shirt decisions being made.
I know it. I tell you, it's a crazy time that we're in right now, and doesn't look good in the direction that we're going in. But here's the deal: OU's defense is really good, guys. Really, really good. They've got a really good 2 deep over there that play physical. They can fly around. They will come up and strike you. Obviously, they've got a great defensive coach and the head coach, and Brent Venables. But the offense has been horrendous, and they're trying to create a little spark this weekend with playing a true freshman who's a phenomenal athlete. Which there'll be some oohs and ahs. He'll be able to run around some people and do some things, but consistently it's going to be just a struggle for them because the offensive line is so bad.
How do you think the quarterback dilemma, I guess you could call it that, will play out? I was impressed by what I saw from Hawkins. Not just that he provided a bit of a spark, but the guy put his body on the line a couple times, and I think that's going to win over a lot of teammates. I don't know what was going on with Jackson Arnold. I'm not sure what the coaches were clearly high on him. I mean, to allow Gabriel to walk and to hear Jeff Lebby talk about Jackson Arnold and others talk about Jackson Arnold, this guy clearly has got a lot of juice or a lot of potential, but for whatever, he's just not working out. So from your perspective, Kale, what's going on with the quarterback spot?
Well, Jackson Arnold is extremely talented. I've been around the kid. He was at my high school. I was still there when we recruited him. So he was a great baseball player, phenomenal football player. I mean, he's a redshirt freshman, and again, obviously we live in a world where we expect everybody to be great right now, and sometimes that's not the case. And matter of fact, most of the times it's not the case. Now, there has been, some leakage and some talk throughout camp that he was not performing well at all, and he was struggling. They tried to keep that under the wraps, but it was kind of leaking out. And the talk was that this Michael Hawkins kid is the one who's creating more buzz and providing more big plays. There's not going to be a lot of change in the system because Michael Hawkins can throw the football. I mean, he's just not a guy that can run around. I mean, he's a legit 4-4 guy, high 4-4 guy, but he's not just a true run around guy. He's not a true zone read guy. He can throw it. They'll probably, I'm sure they'll have a few more type of zone read types, trying to get him out on the edge a little bit more run pass option. I feel bad for Jackson Arnold because he has played in 5 games. I mean, he started 5 games. He started a bowl game last year and 4 games this year, and he has really struggled in every single game. The RPO business with him just did not fix. It was not going in the right direction, and this RPO stuff is kind of driving me nuts a little bit. It's like somebody started it and then it was a fad, and then everybody else was like, oh, we need to start doing this stuff. But he just couldn't overcome the hump. He could not do it. But the freshman kid I recruited the freshman. I recruited this kid's dad. His dad was a corner out of Dallas, Texas, and I recruited him back in 2000. He was raised in a rough upbringing. Matter of fact, lived on the streets a little bit growing up as a kid. He has been a tremendous father to this young man and has raised him the right way, has raised him very hard and put him in some tough situations. His quarterback coach is Kevin Murray, Kyler Murray's dad, who trains a lot of quarterbacks in the Dallas area. Kyler was kind of raised a little bit the same way by his dad, Kevin, always pushed him and challenged him. So the moment's not going to be too big for this kid. It's really, really not. And I know that's amazing because this kid's a true freshman, and he's going to go play in Auburn on Saturday, which is 90,000+ people there probably, hopefully, if they all decide to come. I know there's some challenges down there as well, but I don't know if the moment will be too big. This kid is a player and a competitor, and we'll see if he can provide a spark for them. Again, it goes back to the biggest problem is the offensive line, the receiver injuries that they have. I just don't think it's just going to look very good moving forward for the rest of the season.
Yeah, Kale Gundy does radio in Oklahoma City, sports animal, joined us now on the Buyers Right Hotline, played quarterback at Oklahoma. I kind of have a 2-pronged question here. One, you mentioned some of that zone read stuff. I was baffled as to why the creativity showed up inside the 5-yard line. And in between the 20s, there was almost none of that. A little bit, but not anywhere near as much as some of the – I mean, you had motions going both directions. You had movement. You had different read plays, options for the quarterbacks to keep it, run it, throw it. And then all of a sudden, in between the 20s, that was just – it was absent. It wasn't there. Also, Kale, I'm not going to question the move to make the move at quarterback. I'm not there every day at practice, and I understand Jackson wasn't playing well. But for some of the responses, have we forgotten that this young man had started, 4 games, 5 games? We act like he's a
Correct.
third-year junior. I mean, it's like this kid is still extremely inexperienced.
Right. And not only being inexperienced, again, the injuries at the wide receiver. I mean, they've got 3 of their top 5 starters are not playing. The injuries in the offensive line, and plus, I don't really believe that the offensive line is very good anyways. There's nobody, in my opinion, on my eyes, that can play in the NFL that's on the offensive line at OU, and that's not normal. Typically, they got 2 or 3 guys that can play in the NFL. I think they kind of missed on some transfer portal kids, and they're just struggling. Even when they get on people, they just can't stay on people. They're not physical enough. So obviously you're going to play better talent throughout the rest of the year, and they're going to struggle, in my opinion, through this SEC. Now, offensively, the scheme-wise, No, you're completely correct, and it's been really strange. For the most part, they come out in the first quarter because here's what they want to do: they want to motion you to death. Okay, they want to have some kind of misdirection with the line going one way, a receiver and speed motion, or backs going the other way. They're going to run some zone read stuff in the passing game. They're going to run all kind of meshes and picks. What you saw down on the goal line, they have that in their system, and for probably the second, third game, the Tulane and Houston game, they come out and they were doing that in the first quarter, and they were having success, and they moved the ball up and down the field in the first quarter, and then it's kind of like the defense starts to realize what they're doing, and they start shutting everything down, and then they just kind of go into this mode of, well, we're going to run some inside zone, which they can't run because they can't move anybody. And in the passing game, they don't take any shots down the field. And it's just like to come plain and simple. It really, really baffles me kind of what has taken place. But no, that offense, you're going to see motions, you're going to see misdirections, and you should see it for 4 quarters. That gives them the best chance. They're going to try to, what Coach Venables and those guys do on defense and disguise you, they're going to try to disguise you on offense and try to confuse you and get you somehow out of gaps so somebody can make a play.
How do you anticipate the defense holding up for the long term? Because I think what I've seen now through the first month has been outrageously good. I just worry if the offense doesn't improve, that group might seemingly run out of gas as the season goes along. Now, I think they ran out of gas in some ways against Tennessee. Had 2 mental lapses where they gave up 2 big plays, and that was it. So it's a little demoralizing, too, I would think, from the defense's perspective to see the offense play so average against both Houston, I guess in the second half against Tulane, and then last week against Tennessee. So can they keep this up, I guess, without a real threat offensively?
It'll be a challenge. Without being in there, I know Coach Venables, and I know that they are coaching them mentally every single day and preparing them for what it's going to be like every single day, and trying to keep them together, on the field, in the locker room, on practice fields, on the game fields, traveling in hotels and everything to try to stay as one. And it's going to be tough because, again, the time of possession has been terrible. I mean, just the other night, Tennessee had the ball 35 minutes and OU had 24. And because of the kind of, which I believe, in my opinion, I think the second half, I think Josh Heupel kind of pulled back the reins a little bit, and probably went in there at halftime and talked to the coach and said, hey, these cats can't move the ball on us. Let's not screw this deal up. Let's be smart. Let's, kind of take a shot here and there, but let's let our defense just swarm these guys, and that's what they did. So, again, it's interesting to see the defense, because OU's defense played their best game of the year Saturday night versus Tennessee. They played better than they did versus Tulane and played in versus Houston. Temple doesn't matter. Temple's like, the worst JV team that you've been around. So, but they actually played a great game defensively the other night. And like I said, they have a 2 deep, and I really mean this. They've got 22 legit players that they can roll out there, that they've got coached up, and these guys are chomping at the bit, and they can fly. These guys can run. I mean, they're not the D linemen aren't the biggest guys like a consistent SEC that you'll see, but their linebackers and safeties and corners, these dudes will run and they will hit you. Every one of them will fly in there and hit you like he's a Butkus Award winner. So it'll be interesting as the season goes along. These games are going to be, 17 to 14s and 20s to 13s and, 21 to 20, which is a little bit of the SEC, not as bad, but it's, the SEC don't score as many points maybe as some people spread you out consistently like Tennessee does. And so it'll be interesting. It is. That's a great point. I do know that they are prepared for that. And I think that's what they're coaching. That in order for them to win, they got to play great defense. They got to play great on special teams, and the offense has got to take advantage of some opportunities that the defense gives them.
How much of the plan from Bobby Petrino last week that had some success against the Auburn defense? I'm not going to say a ton because I think a lot of it was ad lib, but I mean, there's a nice little blueprint that's been put on paper for what it sounds like you think Oklahoma needs to run this weekend.
Yeah, and you know, they will. The offense coaches for OU will see that, and they have some of that in their system, and they will, you know, maybe put in a play or two. But obviously Auburn's going to be working like crazy. This is going to be the second week that Auburn's going to be able to watch film and coach their guys. Okay, here's what we did Saturday versus Arkansas. Okay, here's when he pulled the ball. Well, you were supposed to stay on the running back, but you didn't. You froze, and he handed the ball to the running back, and he cut it back and got 6, 7, 8 yards. Or, you know, the outside linebacker you're supposed to be on the quarterback. Well, you chased the running back. So they're going to, in my opinion, they're going to, you know, probably get a little bit better and be more prepared. Tennessee is really good. Their defensive tackles, those defensive linemen are really good. I mean, they physically just beat OU offensive linemen up in the run game. And even when OU tried to run some zone reads and tried to run some misdirections, even with Michael Hawkins Jr. later in that game, man, Tennessee had somebody for the running back. Tennessee had somebody for the quarterback. So they were locked onto it. And you're going to have to do that. But I think, you know, Auburn's, you know, kind of got a head start playing against Arkansas last week. They're going to see some of the similar stuff this weekend.
Kale, you got one more, Greg? Go ahead.
Yeah, I got just one more real quick. If they lose this game, and everyone knows it's a tough game, going to Auburn's a tough game, and the SEC is tough, and guess what? It doesn't get any easier. Like, it's just, it's a brutal gauntlet. What is the reaction amongst Oklahoma fans in defeat and starting their first SEC season 0-2 in the conference?
It'll be rough around here. It'll be really, really rough. They have an open week next week before they play Texas. If they lose this game this weekend down in Auburn, this place will come unglued. It's just it's you know, these people have been spoiled around here. They won a lot of football games. They won a lot of championships, and you know, they're already calling for people's heads around here right now as it is. Man, Sooners got to try to find a way to win this one because it will get ugly. It may get as ugly as I've seen it in a long, long time, except for maybe in the mid-'90s or so when they had the Howland Snellberger and John Blake. And thank God I was at UAB coaching with Watson Brown from 95 to 98, so I wasn't around here at that time. So it'll be a battle, guys. It will be a battle because Auburn's defense, I think, is pretty good. And I thought the secondary did a pretty good job staying in coverage and covering those guys. So with OU receivers down, you know, again, it's just who's going to turn the ball over. You got a team in Auburn who likes to turn it over a bunch, and you got a team in OU defensively who likes to get the turnovers a bunch. So, you know, who's going to play like that again Saturday? And you know, if Auburn turns it over, they're not going to have any chance because OU's defense is great at getting the ball out. And it'll give OU's offense some opportunities to get in the end zone, I think, a few more times than Auburn.
Kale, we really appreciate the time, man. Thank you so much for joining us. And it's going to be a fun one this weekend. I know both teams need it, that's for sure. And that a lot of times makes for very entertaining football. So look forward to having you back soon.
Sounds good. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Yes, sir. There you go. Kale Gundy joining us on the Buyers Right Hotline for all your insurance needs, HR needs. Buyers Right Insurance, a Higginbotham partner. More information has come to the surface. Well, at least someone who believes that they have information that is not Greg or I. We will share said information from different source next on Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Glad you're with us. 800-239-9569, 800-239-WJOX. If you would like to be a part of the show, you can join us there. You can text into the show, 205-834-9450. You can also tweet in at Mac and Cube. Now, we made you aware earlier in the show that UNLV quarterback Matthew Sluka has informed the UNLV coaching staff that he is going to quit the team and not play the rest of the season. My verbiage will not change on that. And if you don't like it, I don't even apologize to you. He released a statement with graphics saying, I've decided to utilize my redshirt year and will not be playing in any additional games this season. I committed to UNLV based on certain representations that were made to me, which were not upheld after I enrolled. Despite discussions, it became clear these commitments would not be fulfilled in the future. Wish my teammates the best of luck this season and hope for the continued success of the program. Those are not your teammates, by the way. Greg and I tried to tell you what happened here, that essentially after going 7 of 18 against Kansas and getting a win, did run for 136, give him credit for that. 44% on the season, 318 passing yards, 6 touchdowns, 1 interception, 39 carries, 253 yards, a rushing touchdown, 3 games. Ranked in the coaches poll. A historical start for UNLV football. He and his family obtained an agent, went in the bye week, asked for, what'd you say it was, Greg?
I heard north of $250,000.
What?
And was told no thank you, and therefore he decided to quit. A lot of folks mad at us for saying that. Number one, Greg is not guessing on this. Number two, I am not guessing on this. Number three, we have not spoken to the same people. Number four, Carl Reed Jr. at Coach Reed Live, works for 24/7 Sports, covered recruiting, former coach. Tweets out 3 minutes ago. All financial commitments for UNLV quarterback Matthew Sluka were completely met, but after wins against Kansas and Houston, Sluka's family hired an agent, and they collectively feel his market value has increased per source. Whoops.
Oh, boy.
So let me ask you this. If there's someone else who you may trust more and other people continue to get the information, what are you going to say now? You still backing the kid? You still think he didn't quit? Because as we stated before, even if something happened and, as some people have stated, stop paying his tuition? What, did he show up to math and they said, we need to check?
You can't take this class.
Honestly, folks.
Come on.
And here's the part that kills me, Greg. Do people not understand the repercussions of if this were true? If you did not meet promises that were made in today's world of college football with NIL, that would absolutely destroy you in recruiting.
Done.
Destroy you.
Done. Finished. Close up shop. Like, if you don't do what you say you're going to do, and that legitimately gets out, one, you open yourself up for a breach of contract and litigation. Two, and by the way, if you all of a sudden get sued for breach of contract, that's going to annihilate your recruiting. Annihilate. So, yes, there are bad actors in the space, and there are misrepresentations that are made. That happens. That absolutely happens. So I'm not saying it doesn't. I just have been told in this situation, that ain't what's going on.
Joe Arigio on Twitter, co-founder of VP at the Franchise LV, covering all Las Vegas sports. He tweets out a few moments ago, I was told this afternoon this was happening per multiple sources, but was tied up recording shows and in meetings. Sluka is leaving UNLV football, and there's a lot to the story, but it seems like someone got in his ear about more NIL money.
Yeah.
Well.
And guess what? That happens. Like, advice is a big part of this thing, and that stinks. I hate it for him. I hope it works out for him. I genuinely do. I really genuinely hope it works out for him. I just don't think it will. So that's what's a bummer about the whole deal is you're in a good situation. You believe that
great situation,
unbelievable situation, potentially on the verge of a playoff run. Like, there is no better experience as a player. And here we are, back to square one because he wants to chase the bird in the bush, which, by the way, I hope is there for him. I really do. This is not me wishing ill will on him in the future. No, very much the opposite. This is me suggesting that he's getting really bad advice and not seeing the bigger picture. And as a result, I think when we fast forward 20 years, he'll have massive regret.
That's the part I think, Greg, that we're not really talking about here is who wants you now?
Exactly.
Regardless of how this plays out. I mean, who is going to be in hot pursuit of Matthew Sluka after all of this? Because you know what coaches do? And I think if we need to, Greg could back me up on this.
Oh boy.
Let me tell you what coaches do when things happen. And not just NIL related things, but when a guy gets kicked off a team, when a guy fails out of school, or maybe flunked a drug test, or gets into an argument with a coach, hits the portal, has NIL disputes. You know what coaches do? They call other coaches.
You don't say.
You know what a lot of these coaches are? Friends with one another. So if you don't think that schools that might be interested in his services, and listen, again, I'm not, if there's a portion of this where me trying to be an a-hole on this, this would be it. The tape tells me Matthew Sluka ain't that guy. Now, is he gritty? Yes. Tough? Yes. Mobile? Yes. Crafty? Yes. Great distributor of football? No. So if he and new agent think that the film is going to propel him to some massive deal, that is not real. And let's say the film, someone watches it and sees it different than me and says, that guy on our offense, here we go. We'd be cooking with the 1 year he's got left. Okay. You don't think they know one guy on that staff? Or you don't think one guy on their staff knows one guy on their staff? So I go down to my receiver coach, Damien, and say, you got any guy on the UNLV staff? Oh, yeah, me and so-and-so, we're GAs together back at Lipscomb. Just call him and see maybe what happened here, if you don't mind. Will he tell you the truth? Oh, yeah, that's my guy.
Sure.
Calls guy. Oh, bro, agent came in after bye week, said they want to triple his money or he ain't playing. Whoops. Hey, coach, next one.
Uh-oh.
That's not our guy.
Nope. And that's exactly how it goes, too, man. It's crazy. How much was he asking for?
Greg said $250,000. I don't have a number. I didn't go there. I don't even care what the number was.
3 games at UNLV?
I don't care what the number was.
That's insane.
You went in there while your team is undefeated,
Right.
has a legitimate shot at the college football playoff. And this is where we get so sideways, like branding, marketing, legacy, the rest of your life. Not right now, forever. And you just literally drop kicked that thing into the ocean.
Yep.
You dropped it to the ground. The toe hit. You kicked the fat part of the football. Perfect spiral, over end, maybe. Either one. However a drop kick goes, right out there into the Pacific. All the way from the Paris Hotel in Las Vegas. Or the Horseshoe or whatever.
Feels like an Aria guy.
It's too nice.
Well, that would, again, that's
I don't feel like this agent's hanging out there. This agent more than New York.
that's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
Vibe.
Yeah.
Golden Nugget.
Is the
definitely.
Hooters Hotel still in business?
Yes, I think.
Is the Palm still going?
I don't think so. He's a Golden Nugget guy.
Wow, man.
All right, we'll be back right after this. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. It's not even October, John.
Well, it's a scary game, though, for some.
It's a scary time in college football for others.
Very much so.
DJ Shockley played his college football at Georgia, covers sports there in Atlanta now. How do you view Georgia's offense heading into this game? What maybe needs to happen that hasn't taken place just yet, DJ?
Cole, what's up, man? Appreciate you having me
Absolutely.
on. And yeah, man, I think this Georgia offense has been kind of up and down. It's been a mixed bag through the first 3 weeks. You look back to that first game against Clemson, they were really slow starters, got going in the second half. Kind of similar when you went to Kentucky. It kind of lasted throughout the ball game. They made plays when they needed to. And I think that's where it starts. I think they haven't gotten off to a fast start. They haven't been able to jump out on Kentucky and Clemson, games that really mattered early in the season to, kind of give themselves a lot of confidence. I think the one thing that's been good for them is they've had a lot of guys who've been able to make some plays. They've had a lot of guys who've been a part of the offense, and that's been a good thing for Carson Beck. I think getting ETN back in that second game, allowing him to figure out what's going on, how he fits into this offense, is another story. But I think the biggest thing that they have struggled with is third down, man. They're 74th in the country on third down conversions. And you play the game like me, we know just as well third down is a big down, but also it's because of first and second down. They haven't been really productive on first and second down, whether it's in the run game, whether it's trying to throw on first down. They just haven't picked up a lot of yards on first and second down. And even in the Kentucky game, they were in a lot of 3rd and 6+ in that ball game. I think they ended up maybe like 2 and 9 or something crazy. So that is going to be a big part of this ball game. And one thing we know, being on the road in Tuscaloosa, it's going to be a place where it's going to be loud, going to be rocking. You get in third and long situations, that's not going to bode well for any team, let alone any team for Georgia either.
All right, so I look at this offense and I feel like some creativity needs to be added just a little bit more. And I can see where DJ Coach Bobo probably, most times they take the field, they're better at everybody else at every position. And even against Kentucky,
Right.
You're better than all those guys at almost every position. So a lot of times calling plays works. Do you see where more movement, more motion, more options, more reads, and I don't just mean like the triple option, but options on where plays could end up, could go, force players to be, put the defenders in conflict a little bit more. Do you see it in a similar fashion that I do?
No doubt about it. I think in any offense, that's probably preferred, and in Georgia's case as well. And I think you bring up a good point of most times when they line up, the guy in front of them is not better than them. So they feel mano a mano, we should be able to beat our man one-on-one. And a lot of times that does happen. But I think when you look at a game like this, I was talking to Kirby on Monday, and he said, we look at the Colorado Mountain scrimmage, they look just like us. They're just as big, they're just as physical, they're just as fast. So we got to find ways to create that space. And I think that's a good call, too. I think you got to find ways to get your guys in advantageous situations where they can win one-on-one, whether it's by motion, by shift, or even by formation, setting your guys up for success, whether it's getting in a bunch set and forcing the corners and play off, or putting a linebacker in bind, and then, getting a ETN or getting a Dylan Bell out of space. And Dylan is one of those kind of guys who is tough to tackle when he gets the ball in his hand. So I think that's a big part of the plan, too, is trying to find ways to get those guys the football. And I think, to be honest, man, I think Coach Bobo is still trying to figure out how to use all these different guys. Because you think about it, you lose a Ladd, you lose a Brock, you lose a Marcus Roseby-Jackson, your 2 backs from last year, Kendall Milton. There's a lot of new pieces in his offense, but there's a lot of guys who played last year, but they're in different roles. So he's trying to figure out just how to use each guy to kind of, make them one of those guys in the offense that can excel. So I think it's still a working process. Even through the first 3 ball games, who can you depend on is still a question mark, and who can I go to on third down? Who's the guy that, I know can win one-on-one? And the other part about it is, Cole, I'll tell you this, is I've talked about it on our pregame show, is we just need more production of our tight ends. And obviously nobody's going to be number 19 in Brock, and that's a big thing. But, you got Lawson Lucky, who is the leading receiver right now for the tight ends. Oscar Depp's been kind of injured here and there. So you haven't really gotten the production that you've had in the past, which has opened things up for you for everybody else. So if you start to get more production from the tight end, then you can start, I think, feel as though, all right, we got other guys who can make plays inside this offense.
DJ Shockley joining us on the Buyers Right Hotline, talking a little Georgia, Alabama coming up this weekend. Is there, with all the turnover in college football, how teams change year to year? We know the recent history with Georgia and Alabama. Is there real carryover for that, in your opinion?
You know what? I think Kirby tried to do a great job of obviously keeping the key players. And I've had, numerous opportunities to talk to him about, obviously, the transfer portal and, guys leaving. And the one thing that he's always mentioned is we want to absolutely keep the players that we go out and recruit. But then there's also the mindset of, hey, look, if this guy doesn't want to be here, we don't want to hold any dead weight. So I think it's one of those situations where it's hard to leave a place like Georgia. I was talking to Carson the other day, a guy who, he was committed to Alabama, and he just talked about, we were talking about our different situations. He's like, man, it's just hard to leave this place and you think about going somewhere else. Talked to Jamal Dumas Johnson the other day when he was at Kentucky, and he was like, man, it just ain't the same here as it was at Georgia. And I think guys understand that things are just different at the University of Georgia, and they want to make it work, but obviously a lot of guys do leave. But at the end of the day, I think the turnover is something that's just a part of college football now, with the way things are set up, with the way guys can move, and you can find a new home. And obviously NIL, all that kind of stuff plays a big deal in it. I think it's just the way of the world right now, and the kids have to make sure it's the best opportunity for them, whether it's staying or going.
DJ Shockley, former Georgia quarterback, joining us on the Buyers Right Hotline, talking Alabama, Georgia. What's the latest on the health of this Georgia defense? Warren Brinson, I feel like this is a game you're going to need anchors. Athletes, the guys off the edge, that's all fun, that's cool, and that can help you. But we saw Alabama last week for the first time, DJ. They went north and south in the run game, and we saw what they did in the SEC championship game last year. I feel like anchors are going to be important in this game for the Georgia defense. Brinson, in that case, to my opinion, very important. What's the latest you have on the health of that front line?
Yeah, Cole. I mean, that's the number one thing, because Georgia's number one in pass defense, but 42nd against the rush defense. That's something you don't even hear about a Kirby Smart defense. And I think not having a Warren Brinson in there has been a struggle. He's a guy who's been out for a long time. Not having Michael Williams the last few days. The word is he practiced this week. They're hoping he can go for the game. Obviously, he sat out the last few weeks, had the bye week, so he's been out about 3 weeks now, just resting that high ankle sprain, and they're hoping that he can go. Warren Brinson is a guy who they said has still been up and down. He's done some stuff here and there, but doesn't know if he's a full go. I would expect that those guys give it a chance to go. You think about last year in the SEC championship game, they had a bunch of guys who were injured in that game. Smile Munnin is another guy who is close to 100%, but I think he's in the 90 percentile range, but he won't miss this game as well. And as we know, you just mentioned, Bama's going to run the rock. Last year, they did the same thing with Jalen McElroy. He's a guy who we know can get out on the edge and make some plays with his legs, and I think they need every guy they can. So I think every guy who is able to go will get a chance to go. And also, you got to remember these backers they played a lot last year. They got a chance to play in that SEC championship game. They played late in the season. I think C.J. Allen has done a really good job on the outside. Raylan Wilson, both two athletic guys who in the middle are still young, still learning the game, but has a year on their belt now. And that's going to be a big deal. But you're right, having two guys in front of them that can get it done. Nazir Stackhouse, all those Christian Millers got to play big in this ball game if Georgia's going to have a chance to kind of stack up to what Bama's going to do in the run game.
Do you look at certain things that have to take place for Georgia to win this game? Is it slowing down McElroy? Is it getting Carson Beck going? Is it maybe getting the run going? I think run game a little bit more critical to utilize that play action for Carson Beck in this game. But what do you look at and say this has to happen for Georgia to be able to get that win in Tuscaloosa?
Yeah, offensively, you got to have some guys step up. I think the run game has to be critical. I think this is a game why you went out and get Trevor Etienne. This is a game that he has to show up big in the run and the pass game. He's got to be a difference maker in, matchups and trying to, get him in space. And then he has to be able to run the rock. I feel like he has to touch the ball between 15 and 20 times this ball game if Georgia wants to win. And you mentioned the play action part of it. And as you know, there's no play action if you don't have a run game. And I think that's a big part of the success that they could have is if they can get that going. Defensively, I think it all comes down to McElroy. We saw last year what Georgia tried in the SEC championship game was they kind of sat back and played a lot of zone and, draw some fire zone blitzes, try to keep eyes on them and he kind of picked them apart with his arm. I think this game plan will be different. I think they have to come after him. And because last year it didn't work when you sat back. I think you got to mix it up a little bit, do a little bit of zone, a little bit of blitz, but I think you have to come after him more than you did last year and force the issue. Force the ball out of his hands, because the more the ball is in his hands, the more chances he has to create, whether it's sitting back there waiting for somebody to come open or, hey, I'm sitting back, and then, hey, I find a crease and I run. I think they got to get the ball out of his hands, and that's going to be a big part of it. I think Malachi Starks plays a huge role. Over the first 3 ball games, he's played at all 3 levels of his defense. He's played off the rush, like rushing. He's, been at the linebacker spot, that star position that they love, and he's also been obviously in the back hole. He has to play a big part in this game. I wouldn't be surprised if him, Jalen Walker, are guys who they figure out, hey, we got to find a way to stop McElroy. Maybe they're the spies. Maybe they're the guys that play so much down in that box that they force the issue with McElroy. So it's a couple guys that I'm looking at to say, all right, you guys have to be the key, especially on that defensive side of the ball, to, kind of corralling what Alabama can do.
DJ, great stuff, man. Thanks for the time. I know you're excited about this game. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a classic, and we're all going to enjoy it. But appreciate you taking a little bit of time out of your day to join us today and discuss it.
Cole, no doubt, man. Appreciate you, man, and always good talking to you, bro.
Absolutely. DJ Shockley, former Georgia quarterback, joining us on the Buyers Right Hotline. You can see him now on Fox 5 Atlanta, covering sports there, and obviously knows that Bulldog program well. We'll discuss those injuries a little bit more, the potential of who may be back, might not be back. I see some of you on hold want to get in on this Matthew Sluka situation. We'll do that on the other side. 800-239-9569. 800-239-WJOX if you want to get in. But first, I'll tell you about your CBD store. If you need a better night's sleep, your CBD store has answers for that. If you have arthritis, anxiety, or maybe your pet does, they have products that can help you with that as well at your CBD store. Largest brick and mortar CBD retailer on planet Earth. They focus their attention on being the best plant sciences company out there. So they have the stamp seal on their products. They meet and achieve a certain set of standards there at your CBD store. Visit one of their 4 locations, Highway 280 by Bailey Brothers, 150 by the Cage in Cleaver, Trussville just off 459, and now downtown in 5 Points. Your CBD store where good health hits home. All right, back with more Mac and Cube next. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Appreciate you guys tuning in. 8:51 a.m. Wednesday, September 25th, right here on Jocks 94.5. Going to get to your phone calls here in just a moment. 800-239-9569. UNLV quarterback Matthew Sluka has quit the football team after 4 games. He'll have a redshirt season available. And saying that it was because some promises were not met. Greg and I have information that says otherwise, and that's not exactly how it went. I will tell you how it's going to go at Game Day Men's Health. They can do a lot for you if you want to get healthier. You can book a free consult today at GameDayMen'sHealth.com. If it's weight loss that you need, they have options that can help you with there. And a lot of times there are certain things that having low testosterone can be a problem for. If you lack energy, if you're getting poor sleep, you feel on edge, all could be because of low testosterone. They want to help you with that today. So with that free consultation, they're going to give you a free testosterone test, free PSA test right now at Game Day Men's Health. Get all the facts at GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Mention Cube, save 10% on any service that they have. Great locker room environment, no pressure, not going to try to push you into anything that they do that you don't want. They've helped me. They can help you at Game Day Men's Health. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com. All right, let's go to John in Coleman. Wants to discuss this Matthew Sluka situation. John, welcome in.
Good morning, guys. I've been calling the show for years, and a few times I've talked about what I do for a living. I've been in a live entertainment promoter, artist manager. I've been in the music industry most of my life, and I'm a massive college football fan, and I can't help but notice a lot of the game has completely changed in the last 10 years. No question. Money has entered the game. Money has entered the player's game. And there has to be a completely different mindset with the colleges and the leadership to understand that. It's just when you go from an amateur sports game to now this is a paid sport, it's completely different. You guys know the difference between college and NFL. And now it's also not lost on me that for 150 years or however long, pretty much all of the leverage has been on the college's side. I mean, they had it made for a long, long time, and they didn't have to deal with this. So I'm not here to take up for the colleges, but there is a completely different game now. And when we get news reports that someone wants $250,000 for 3 games or whatever, it's blowing our mind. I'm telling you, in the next 10 years, we're going to look back at that, and that's going to be a joke from where it's going and where the money is going to end up being, because we're talking about millions and millions of dollars coming up in the future. And if the colleges are smart, they're going out and getting professionals that understand the paid game. They're going out to NFL teams and getting people from the front offices, because the game, I'm telling you, there'll be a players union eventually in the college world. So like if they're not thinking that way, then they're going to get Jimmy Sexton's already been eating their lunch for 20 years and has completely changed the pay for college for coaches. But the game has changed, and we're going to see more and more things like this. We all know that, hey, G-Mac, if you wanted to go work for Fox tomorrow, could you do that without breaking some contract? I mean,
no.
Of course,
there's a non-compete that's built into every contract. Like it's
exactly.
We're going to get there, and it won't.
Protected.
I don't think it's going to take very long, to be honest with you. I think we're already trending in that direction. I think it's going to be hard to unionize, frankly. As someone that was a part of a union, a players union for, 3 years and change, plus you'd have like alumni union support. Like we got smoked in 2011 during the lockout, and there were 2,000 of us. Imagine when you have 15,000. We got killed in 2011, killed from practice standpoint, from a rookie wage cap, to eliminating 2-a-days, to padded practices. Like we got all the stuff that we wanted to make practice easier, and yet it killed player development, it killed salaries, and the owners got exactly what they want. So I don't think it'd be in their best interest to unionize, because I think every situation's a little different. But I do think there is going to be a scenario here in the future where this stuff is the norm. And you've already seen teams start to employ general managers. You've already seen teams start to move in that direction of an NFL front office. So we're getting there. We just need some help, because we need some regulations. We need some transparency, and we need, there to be some type of limitations on where we're at, because it is completely out of control.
Chris, you got about 30 seconds. What's on your mind?
I just want you guys to I guess just ask Josh Sneed about not bringing the Auburn fans to the show, and I guess when I think about the NIL deal, I wanted to have a theory, you guys, that maybe this happens a lot with the skill position players, but I want to know more about what happened if it happened to the lineman position players. Because do they even get an NIL deal?
Is he asking if linemen get NIL deals?
Yeah.
You got to earn your NIL deal, lineman.
Count your money at the hand and the date.
We ain't paying them big boys. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm going to take a little bit of a lighter direction here, as we've all been somewhat angry for the majority of the show. We'll try to go a little somewhere else. We're going to talk to Josh Sneed of SEC Shorts here in just a moment. Before we do that, Greg, tell our listeners about Crocker Moving Services.
Well, they're a local company owned by an Iraq War veteran, Eric Crocker. Crocker believes in hiring movers you can trust to complete full background checks and run drug tests on every single employee. These are good guys. And you can trust them in your home. Whether you need your whole home back to move, your company headquarters moved across country, or you just want them to come rearrange a living room, these guys got you covered. They also do deliveries for furniture that you're purchasing to get to your home. They also can, if you live in Vegas and you're trying to, transfer or move somewhere, they can get to you there and get your stuff where it needs to go. They can take care of you. So go to CrockerMovingServices.com. It's CrockerMovingServices.com. Support your veterans by choosing Crocker Moving Services for your next move.
Josh Sneed of SEC Shorts in studio with us now. How you doing today?
I'm great. We should probably mention, I just saw on the news ticker, Hugh Freeze announced Matt Sluka is the starting quarterback this week.
Wow.
I couldn't believe it. It was a shocker.
If this situation happened to an SEC team, does it make next week's show? Like, do you guys have to have fun with this?
That's the first. Either we end with it or it's the first thing we talk about.
Yeah, I mean,
the thing that's amazing is like this has happened in other places. Like NC State, this happened last year with MJ Morris. This happened we've seen it happen. Where was it? Oklahoma? Where did it happen? A few years back. No, it was Cam Ward. It was at Houston. It was Houston. He obviously, not Cam Ward, the guy that was at Houston and transferred to Miami. And it was like not that big a deal for folks. If this happened in the SEC, people are losing their minds. Like it's okay if it's elsewhere, but if it's at home, like people are going to freak out. So it's amazing how we change our opinion.
I think you're right. I think he's just, he had a few good weeks. His ego got all built up and got the wrong person in his ear and told him he could get more money.
Yep, that's what it sounds like. All right, you guys have something else besides your weekly show that's coming up. What is it that fans can be a part of? Yeah,
so we're doing a live show in Tuscaloosa this Friday, the night before the Georgia game at Bama Theater. It's like a 90-minute variety show, just based around Alabama football, basically. So there's sketches, audience games, there's stand-up, Hannah sings a song, a little bit of everything.
Just Alabama football.
Yeah, well, we make fun of everyone, but Alabama gets all the good jokes.
You're an equal opportunity maker funner of.
Yeah, you got to be because you if someone's making fun of your team this week, you got to know that they're going to be making fun of somebody next week if you're going to keep watching. So.
Is there anything that you guys have had to say, nope, that's too much, we're not going there? A certain team, like that crosses the line. We don't want to mess with that.
Yeah, we don't make fun of players individually because,
That's fair.
We don't want to go after young guys. But other than that, we'll make fun of anything pretty much. We have a bank as a sponsor, so we can't get too crazy. We got a lot of families and stuff that listen and watch too.
Probably a good idea to keep them on board.
Yeah. There have been a couple that we've done. Like when we worked for ESPN, there were a couple that we had turned in that someone would run by the team and be like, "Hey, is it okay if we run this?" And they're like, "Absolutely not." We tried to do a video where Kentucky's a football school now because it was a season where it was like their 10-win season, and someone ran it by Stoops and they were like, "Hey, we're just going to air this on Saturday." And he was like, "No, that wouldn't be great for us. So please don't." But I think they ended up airing it anyway. But
I love it. When you think about how do y'all storyboard this stuff? I imagine you have like material. Some of it's like low hanging fruit material that is hilarious as long as you're not the recipient of the heat that you guys occasionally throw. So how big is your arsenal of material on all these SEC schools?
Yeah, so you have to do a lot of research. As far as we don't have a lot of canned ideas. There's a list of things we try to pull from, but anytime you're like, okay, if Texas A&M loses this game and this team wins that game, we can do this idea. You start to plan for it, you get excited, and it never works out. So it's best to just kind of see how it all falls Saturday night and then come up with an idea Sunday morning.
I think I know the answer to this, but I also feel like the answer could surprise a lot of folks. What fan base do you get the most reaction from? Whether you are doing something that maybe would enrage them or make them laugh or allow them to laugh at maybe their rival.
Tennessee, for sure.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, Tennessee. They've been historically pretty good sports about getting made fun of, as we've been making fun of them for the last 10 years. And they're really good sports about it because I think they like to hate their own team sometimes,
Whoa.
Yeah, okay. I think they're pretty open to that.
I know we love to hate more than we love to love, but I didn't know that meant ourselves, actually. So
sometimes, I guess. I don't know. It works out for us. So they've been pretty good sports about it. Auburn fans usually aren't really open to being made fun of. I think the hurt goes too deep sometimes, and they don't want it pushed into the light, I think. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Is there ever been a time where someone just went way too far with how insulted they were with one of your skits?
Yes. So a lot of every once in a while we'll throw an out of conference team in there, And I remember there was a time we did it was an Oklahoma video like years and years ago. And it was, we treated their playoff hopes like it was a dog we had to send off to the farm. And so it was like two parents telling a kid like, well, the playoff hopes had to go live with grandma on the farm and you're not going to see him again this year. And Oklahoma fans were like, who are these people? Like, who would dedicate their day to making fun of our team? And they thought that the little girl in it and the woman was like my wife and my actual kid, and that it was like real somehow, or like, how could he get his family involved in such a ruse? It was the people who aren't used to seeing the videos are very confused as to why someone would spend their day assembling props and wardrobe to make fun of their team.
Josh Sneed of SEC Shorts sitting in studio with us now. Greg and I have talked about for the last couple off seasons that basically the news cycle with college football has been a gift to us on an almost daily basis. A lot of what you guys do are reactionary to a weekend full of games, but has everything else that's happening in college football benefited how you guys operate, what you guys operate for, like how you do things?
Oh, absolutely. Anytime you have something big that everyone knows about, like conference realignment or NIL, stuff like that, like it's huge, and it makes it interesting.
Quarterbacks quitting on their team.
Quarterbacks quitting on their team. Yeah, it makes it, everybody can unify against something, or, everyone at least is in on the joke. So, and it's fresh material other than like, Kentucky's not so good this year or whatever. So,
what about like the new teams being Texas and Oklahoma? This is kind of new to them. I know you've done stuff on Oklahoma in the past. But has there been like a little bit of pushback since they don't really know like what you're all about just yet? Is there been a bit of a learning curve for the newbies?
Yes, absolutely. So if you kind of make fun of them or poke them a little bit, they're like, why are these guys making fun of us? And then now that we're a few weeks in, it seems like they're starting to kind of get it, like, oh, everybody gets made fun of. It's kind of all in good fun, and they're not like after us or anything. So
Is there a skit that you've wanted to do, but for some reason couldn't make it happen, couldn't get it out there, that you feel like we just would have crushed it, would have smashed?
Yes,
that
absolutely.
sort of sticks there in your brain?
Yes. So every Halloween, I want to do it's like a Jason remake where one team, maybe Georgia or Alabama, is Jason, and then like we just find like 12 females to play like all the other teams or all the teams that one of those teams has beaten throughout the year, and then they just go after them one at a time and kind of get them or whatever. I think that would be really funny just to do like a horror film.
Do you
parody.
feel like it's maybe too gory, or somebody's gonna get their feelings hurt? Or?
No, I mean there wouldn't be any actual murders or blood or anything. It would just be like you see the drag away or something like that.
Yeah. Go underwater real quick.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's got to be at the lake for sure. Where just people are just like rowing a boat. Like, did you hear that? And then, so I think that would be really funny. It would just be really hard to pull off. You need a lot of people, and you'd have to a lot of different scenes and stuff. But I've always thought that would be a good one.
Okay.
When you think about some of the stuff that could be coming up, like I know that there's, like I know you guys are already monitoring situations. Like it feels like
we've got our people on that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm about to say, like it feels like Auburn, maybe something about their quarterback is imminent. Naturally, I'm sure they'll find something that, if Florida falls off the rails here pretty soon, I would think that'd be in your arsenal. Like what else?
Yeah. So we try to jump on, like this year, we try to jump on stuff like that early that we thought would kind of carry us through the year. Like, the Grim Reaper is slowly following Florida everywhere they go. Vanderbilt, we've turned into a very confident pimp somehow, and I don't know how it's taken off, but
it's the music.
If they could just
it was the music. That's what
if they could just win one more or two more games, it would really help us out. But
do you guys get to a point in your meetings with Vanderbilt where you're like, guys, it's just too easy. We got to go a different direction. It's just not. We can't do this again.
Yeah, I know. It gets to a point where that's why we're excited that Vandy has like won a couple games, because
they look better.
It gives you like fresh material. You can try something new other than like them being the nerd or them being, the whipping boy or whatever. So having
cranes for goalposts.
Yeah.
All right, so tell us about your event coming up again this weekend and how folks can be a part of it.
I'm really excited. We've been rehearsing like the writing and the rehearsing takes months and months. So we're real excited about it. It's this Friday at Bama Theater in Tuscaloosa. Doors open at 6. The show's at 7. There's still a few tickets left. There's some in the balcony for sure, and then on the floor as well. So we hope people come out. It's going to be a good time, part of a huge weekend. So, we're just part of many of the big people that will be in Tuscaloosa this weekend.
I think you guys are the biggest. I don't think there's any reason to push back on that.
I didn't know that Katie Britt was going to be in town. We would love to have her in a skit. We've seen her acting skills, so I think she could. I think she'd be great.
What do you make of what can we expect in the show? Like for those of us that show up on Friday night, Cole and I will have a tough time getting there. We'll be calling our own games that day, but those that do come on Friday night, like
we have to get to where the games are.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
Would love to call a Friday game so I could get to Tuscaloosa and have one heck of a good time on Saturday. But I digress. What can we expect from your show on Friday?
Yeah, so like I said, it's a variety show. So we've got a little bit of everything. There's sketches, audience games where we play we play trivia, charades. There's a Guess Who game where we have people come out of the audience to play. We give away prizes. Hannah sings a song that we wrote, so I really feel sorry for her because she is a professional entertainer where she does musical theater, and she has to sing something stupid that we wrote about the playoffs. And Eric, our buddy Eric, does stand-up, so it's just a little bit of everything. It's something for everyone. You can bring the whole family, too. There's lots of families that come to the shows, so we're pretty proud of that, and it's a good time, so you should come out.
Yeah, it's got to be fun. It's got to be interesting, involving the crowd, doing a couple of different things. Have you done anything similar to this?
We do 2 or 3 of these a year. Plus, we do like corporate stuff where we do things like that, where we'll do like sketches and audience games. So we try to do it a couple of times. It's just we write the whole show just for one team, so it takes months to just do one show one night. So we don't do a lot of them, but we love doing it.
How much time goes into your weekly show? Because I feel like a lot of people probably look at that and say, man, they just go in there and screw around, and this thing, it probably takes them like a half an hour.
No, gosh. Yeah, so it takes about 15 hours. In 15 hours, we have to do, we have to come up with an idea, write a script, find actors, find a location, make props, get wardrobe, shoot it, edit it. All that stuff has to be done within a 15-hour window. So it's a grind, but it's a good time.
It's got to be super fun, though. How many more shows do you have planned, like coming up down the road?
This is it for this year. I think we may try to do something smaller towards the end of the year, but this is it. This is all. We don't really have time to plan another show in the middle, like a big show in the middle of the season like this. But so this will be it. So if you're an Alabama fan, got to come out.
Do certain members of your regular cast that are on an almost weekly basis, do you ever run into sort of rivalry issues where they won't portray another team? Like an Alabama graduate will not be the Auburn person if they're being shown in a good light, or vice versa?
We had
like if Alabama's being made fun of they're Alabama grads that are like, yeah, I'm not playing that part this week. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, Robert graduated from Auburn. He is the only one that ever plays Auburn because he feels like he's more in tune with their feelings, I think. And but yeah, I don't know if he's ever played Alabama. I think for this live show, he has to put on like Alabama jerseys for a couple of the sketches, and it just looks weird seeing him in it. Like you could tell he doesn't feel.
He's just uncomfortable. Yeah,
he's not used to being a winner.
That. Wow,
that's well said.
Okay, I didn't realize we were coming with jabs today.
I don't mean
that's the direction we were going to go. I should have expected.
That feels right, though. I mean, that makes sense to me.
100%. All right, Josh Sneed is joining us in studio. You can see him on SEC Shorts. Can you hang out one more segment?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, we'll get to a break. Before we get to a break, I'll tell you about Gusty Goulas and the Gusty Goulas Group. If you're looking for a new home in the Birmingham area, Gusty Goulas Group, they are brokered by eXp Realty. Served more than 3,000 home buyers and sellers right here in Birmingham. Call 205-542-1996 today, or just Google Gusty Goulas Group. When you do, you're going to see that the Gusty Goulas Group has over 835-star Google reviews. Now, most agents start marketing after you list with them, not Gusty. He's already been investing in all the latest technology, looking at different homes, different things and ways that he can help you and your family. Even if you just want to know the value of your current home, they can help you there. Go to GustyGoulasGroup.com today or call 205-542-1996 and start packing. All right, more from Josh Sneed from SEC Shorts right next when we come back on Jocks 94.5. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Josh Sneed from SEC Shorts. You all know him. You've seen him for a while now. How long have you guys been doing this?
This is our 10th year.
10th year?
Yeah. We started off our first year. We just, it was the year the SEC Network started, and, Paul was on air for like 6-7 hours a day. So he was just begging people to send in free content to take up time, which I could totally understand. And so he was, just airing videos that fans would make. And they were supposed to be rants, and, it was mostly just dudes with their shirts off, incoherently screaming about Mississippi State or something. Yeah. And so we decided to write and edit a polished sketch and sent it in. And they were like, please do these every week. So we made them every week, sent them in. At the end of the year, people started offering it to pay us to do them. So we've been doing them ever since.
There you go.
That was the genesis. Was Feinbaum looking for content in kind of exploratory fashion?
Yeah.
At the launch, I never realized that. I would have never put 2 and 2 together there.
Yeah. We did it for a whole year, every week. We're pretty excited. We're just excited to be on TV, to be honest with you. But
your HVAC system, one of your largest investments this time of year, constantly being pushed to the extreme. You can trust a Trane home comfort system to give you reliability and peace of mind day in, day out for years to come. Visit Trane.com to find a comfort specialist near you. And remember, it's hard to stop a Trane. All right, so.
Wait, I have a question.
Sure.
Because on the way here, I was thinking of what companies, if you and Greg played during the NIL era, what companies would come after you guys for sponsorships?
Well, I think for me, when I played, being about 305, it would have been a lot of restaurants. Maybe a buffets would have been good. Yeah.
Buffets. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but are you going to get the type of money from a buffet that's going to make it worth it for you, really?
See, I wouldn't even have cared about the money. It just would have been free food.
Food and shoes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm about to say, don't overlook the Skechers deal you would have signed.
Never.
Because it made me think of it as the HVAC thing you just mentioned. Because remember that player from Nebraska, where his last name was heating and cooling, or his last name was air conditioner or something. And so there's a lot of where their names roll into it, like Kool-Aid. I think you missed out with your last name, Cubelic. A company selling cubicles would love to have you.
Perfect. What about an ice company?
And then I was thinking of the commercials you two would make for the companies you represented. I'm Cole Cubelic for cubicles.
I mean that.
I've known Cole for 10, 11 years now. Known him well for 11 years now. And I thought his last name was Cubicle until 2022. So, I think that would have made perfect sense.
Perfect. Are you tired of looking at your coworkers in the eye? Cubicles.
Is your cubicle falling apart?
Greg, I see you more represented by some sort of gentleman's clothing company that only makes down vests. They've got you holding a shotgun in front of a green screen that's shows you duck hunting or something, and you're just looking off into the distance.
It has the one shoulder pad.
I think you can basically look at any political ad campaign that's been run in this state for a really long time. I think I would have probably fit the bill for that.
Absolutely.
Definitely, we're in a duck blind, waders on, wearing all sorts of orange, 100%.
The quote at the bottom says, "Don't pass on these Labor Day deals." I'm telling you, you guys could have cleaned up. Both of you would have done very well.
I did see multiple billboards on my way home from the state of Georgia yesterday with Carson Beck doing an injury attorney ads. And I just thought to myself, great for Carson to get that check, but nothing tells me to call so-and-so and so-and-so when I break my leg in a car accident than the Georgia quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's
if
anything makes me think about, calling a certain injury attorney when I get in an accident, it's the Georgia quarterback throwing touchdown passes.
Also, would you guys say no to anyone? If you're a college kid and someone offers you $500 to promote their arcade or whatever, would you?
No, let's go.
What if it was something like foot cream?
Let's go.
Adult diapers.
That feels on brand for Cole.
Honestly, me back then, I probably wouldn't have cared. If the check was big enough, let's go. I figured it out.
And I asked that because I was going through Costco not too long ago, and you go through I wasn't shopping for adult diapers. I was just shopping for something else and happened to be in the adult diapers section. I want to make that very clear. But the gentleman that was on the front of the packaging for the adult diapers was
very happy.
Big smile, 2 thumbs up, everything's great in here. And I thought to myself, for the first time in a long time.
Good about things.
And I thought to myself, like, if I was offered the adult diaper ad, would I take it? And I think it's definitely.
You kind of have to.
Yeah.
I've said this before. My problem with NIL would have been I would have ruined it all with barter. All of it.
Oh.
I wouldn't even really cared much about the checks. I just would, like John said earlier, you get like a sneaker deal at a store that's has like the Nikes and Jordans that I would have wanted. I would have just said, I'll take full trade. I'm good.
Mhm.
Vehicle, trade. Good.
So Hibbets
Don't
wants
need
to pay you in whistles and
I don't know about
hats.
the whistles. It would need to be the shoes. Yes,
Okay.
It's got to be the shoes.
Starter jackets.
Yes.
We throw starter jackets into our videos every once in a while now because when I was a kid, that was a big deal.
That was it.
I had the Patriots one because it was the cheapest one. At where Champs or wherever we got it from, but it was the big puffy one with the big flap in the front. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
Like that's the one big pocket in the front, and then the zipper was on the side.
White Sox.
The jacket weighed 70 to 80 pounds.
Correct.
White Sox was clean.
Yeah,
back in the
I had
day.
that
Oh,
one.
I had a
Good
starter.
looking one.
I had a White Sox starter top pinstripes with the matching shorts.
Ooh.
I'd wear it twice a week. I'd wear it Monday and then have it washed so I could wear it again Friday.
But did you have like the old school like satin one that's coming back now, or the one with like the quarter zip that when you open the quarter zip it had like the team logo underneath it with the hood?
No, this was full button front. It was like baseball. It was like baseball style pinstripe, but with matching shorts.
Oh,
It
wow.
looked almost like a romper because the stripes would line up.
Ooh.
I didn't tuck it in, Greg. I didn't tuck it in.
I mean,
I left it
just making
loose.
sure. I just want to make sure. I feel like that was necessary to make sure that you reminded us that you didn't tuck it in. I just need to make sure.
Yeah, I would never do that. No.
Yeah, it would have been.
I'm not a
lot of
clown,
food.
Greg.
A lot of food for me and sneakers if I could have gotten them would have been mine. So yeah.
Yeah.
And if there was it's funny because on Instagram yesterday I saw Quentin Nelson doing like a 3XL clothing commercial or whatever it is, and he's like, if you're 3XL to 8XL, you need to be in triple XL gear.
That's a great impression, by the way.
I have no idea what it's
Why
called.
do you think he talks like that?
Because he does. And so I was just thinking, yeah, if there would have been any, because I remember being in school, clothes were so hard to find for bigger guys. Like all the stuff you really wanted. Like I wore a ton of like Eddie Bauer t-shirts when I was in school because they made double X tall or triple X tall.
Oh, okay.
And like not many, usually if you found a double X shirt, it ended up being like a belly shirt for us fat
yeah.
guys.
No.
Because it didn't go down far enough.
Yeah.
So
No,
finding clothes that even fit, if I would have found one of those in college, I would have just taken all barter, all trade, like all of it.
No, I get it because I'm on the other end of that spectrum where I get all my clothes at Gap Kids, and it's because they don't make adult clothes in my size, so I have to get husky boys clothes and alter them.
Husky boys. I shopped in the husky section when I was a kid.
I'm doing it at 44, so I feel like we're just living the same life in different decades, man.
That has to save you a little bit of money, though, I would imagine.
Oh yeah, of course, but I do have to unstitch the bears off all my clothes and stuff. So it's kind of a hassle. But all the alterations lady does all that for me now because I'm on the internet, so I've got that kind of money where I can get the bears just taken right off. Sometimes if I see a nice suit or something on a bear at Build-A-Bear, I'll buy it.
You'll just take it.
Yeah, and then I'll just rip it right off that bear and wear it to a nice event.
There you go.
If you're
I
ever,
see you
if
at the
you're ever in,
Oktoberfest.
have you ever been in Birmingham Airport? Like they have a Build-A-Bear workshop in there. Like, do you ever
I
just
do a
go
lot.
on in there and just grab a shirt out of the vending machine in case you forgot one?
That's where I got these pants, Greg. Yeah, thank you for asking. It was on a bear called Little Teddy, and
No, you got them.
Now they're mine.
It wasn't
didn't
named
have
Brian.
Didn't have to alter them at all. Look at that.
That's it.
That's fresh off the bear.
Perfect. Right
You guys buy off the rack. I buy off the bear.
Is there anything like from an SEC perspective that you is kind of on your wish list that you would like to do, a project you'd like to be involved with, or try to do coaching interviews, or do something with different sports? What is there anything else out there that you kind of wish you could make happen?
There was a thing we did where I was like a member of the media and asked Saban a question at a at a thing, and it was just to show like how hard it is. And he did the thing where he pretended he couldn't hear me, and I just everything left my body, and I was like, oh no, I don't want to repeat myself, and I was just gonna run away. I also had this, how at the time he hated it when you asked him about sacks because they weren't getting a lot of sacks, and he was like, sacks aren't important, it's the pressure, and he would get mad every time someone asked him. I was gonna ask him that, but like be in a wheelchair or something to see if he would still come after me. Maybe he would be scared to come after me if I'm in a wheelchair. So we didn't do that. I just asked a straight up question.
Probably fair.
But yeah, and it worked out and it was fine. I think something I would like to do, I was thinking about this the other day. We do this sketch where it's like Baltar, where he can like see the future of whatever your team is or whatever. I would like to go to maybe media days or when they do the SEC championship, when they have those like fan things where it's just a room of games and stuff you play. Have you seen that?
Oh yeah.
And I would see if they would let me just set up the Baltar machine somewhere in the middle of like the hoop shooting thing or whatever, and fans could just come up and I could read their fans' future
Just
from the
get the little
Baltimore.
card out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other than that, yeah, I don't really care about interviewing coaches and stuff. They're all just going to say the same thing. I think Lane would be a fun interview, maybe, but I'm not
It's
really.
not as fun. It's not as fun as you think. Like, what you get with Lane on Twitter is not what you get like in an interview setting. Like, it's kind of strange because on Twitter he's phenomenal, but he's not really that way in real life.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, that's why really talking to coaches or whatever wouldn't really be high up on my list. How about you guys? Would you guys like to do any acting? I think it should be because I feel like both of you would be good actors because I think you'd be natural in front of the camera. You wouldn't feel the pressure. I feel like you'd be good actors.
I think we have to act sometimes like we really are excited about our game, and it could get sideways.
I didn't say that.
Cole one time tried to tell us that Mercer was going to give Georgia a hard time.
Creative offense.
So we have acted in the past.
Okay, because I think it should be you guys in those Academy Sports commercials. I'm just going to say that.
Oh wow, thank you.
Well, that's very nice of you.
We would love to be a part of that, but we're not trying to get it taken from anybody else. Just to be clear. All right, Josh, thanks again for coming in, man. Tell you guys have a live show coming up. Tell our listeners how they can be a part of it.
Yes, if you go to secshorts.com, you can get tickets. It's a 90-minute variety show for Alabama football at the Bama Theater Friday, September 27th. We start at 7 o'clock. Get there early, go eat somewhere like at 5 or something, and then roll out, have a couple drinks, and hit the show at 7. And then we'll turn you loose into Tuscaloosa.
You know it's going to be good. You know it's going to be funny. So thank you so much for coming in. We appreciate it. We love your work. And hopefully you'll come back and see us again soon.
Absolutely. Anytime. Thank you so much.
And I will
for
be at Oktoberfest thing this year.
I am too.
There.
I'll see you there.
I'll see you there. Okay. All right. We will be back with more McElroy and Cubelic in the morning right after this. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Wednesday, September 25th, 9:35 a.m. right here on Jocks 94.5. Majority of the conversation today has been about Matthew Sluka, former UNLV quarterback. Damien, if you could, while we're talking about this, I don't even know how to tell you to do this, but just kind of look. See if you can find anything from any UNLV players via social media.
I'm on it.
Because I do think that that's where, if there is a reality that's going to come out of this, that's able to come out of this, that might be where it is. Now, you're still going to have guys who that's their guy and are only taking information from one side, and we won't really know. That being said, Adam Rittenberg of ESPN apparently has spoken to Bob Sluka, Matthew's father. Told ESPN his son's agents agreed to an multiple agents?
Plural. Wow.
Agreed to an NIL deal with the school back in February. What's more impressive, Matthew Sluka having agents or Jimbo Fisher having ranches?
Ranches.
Probably.
Anybody can have agents.
I guess you're right. Said that his son agents agreed to an NIL deal with the school back in February, never received payments despite requests, and never asked for any adjustments to the original deal. We have no idea what the hell happened. That's from Bob Sluka. He would go on, apparently with Rittenberg, quote, they keep deferring. We don't know. You have to wait, Bob Sluka told me. Then it was like, we're going to give him game checks. So we're like, okay, great. We did not ask for a single dollar more. Sluka added that Matt's living expenses weren't even covered. Okay, now we're getting.
Oh boy.
Let me just say this in as neutral of a tone as I can. I hate all of this. I hate that we're here. I hate that this is college football now. I hate that the parents have to defend their child who may be wrong and in the wrong here. I hate that a head coach, a school, a university, a football program has to defend itself against what they might be wrong. Or maybe a third party is wrong and both sides are right. We will most likely never know the real truth here, Greg, as to exactly how this entire thing went down.
No, we won't. And it's he said, she said. That's why I wish we had transparency. Like, who do you believe? UNLV's program or the quarterback's dad? I am inclined to believe that, depending on who your sources are, just depends. Like, how trustworthy is Bob Sluka? How trustworthy is the UNLV program? I'm not sure I know one or the other. All I know is I find it very hard to believe, knowing how these things are organized, that all of a sudden there wouldn't be any payments made. And if you signed in February and nothing's been paid, then why did you even play to begin with? I think that's a fair question. And what's changed in the last couple of weeks? I think that's a fair question. So I think that it's fair. I hope, here's the thing that I hope, whether it's Rittenberg or others, I hope they tell both sides of the story, as opposed to just talking to one individual and allowing that person's narrative to kind of percolate out without fact checking it. So we see plenty of that where we just get one side of the story and there's no fact checking on the other side, but it's not necessarily, it's just an unfortunate situation is what it is.
It is.
And one that could be avoided.
It is. And John, we haven't really heard your thoughts on this. Damien, we haven't heard your thoughts on this. Just in general, based on what we've seen, what we've heard, what we know, Damien, what do you think about kind of where we are with this entire Sluka situation?
It's dumb all the way around it. To me, it would never cross my mind. And we're sitting 3-0. We're ranked. And you are more worried about the deals that you're looking for in NIL than like we actually may have a chance to play in a college football play. Like we're good. Like we are probably one of the better G5 teams right now. And you're shutting it down. It's like, okay, so what were you even going all these practices and stuff for? What were we going over installs with you for if you all of a sudden 3 games in when you have a game on Saturday and now it's I'll holler at y'all. It's like, what? Like just okay, let's make your move, big dog. Go ahead. But don't worry about anything that we're doing as a unit because you have literally put us in a position where now, like, I hadn't gotten any reps with the number 2 QB. Like, I hadn't got reps with him, and now he's about to be the starter. And it's like, okay, well, blank us then. Appreciate you.
And that's where I think, in my mind, I personally am never going to be wrong about this, because where I feel like I'm being debated on it is, did the kid quit?
Yes.
Yes. You quit on your teammates no matter what. And I understand the counter to that is going to be, if your job quit paying you today, stop paying you, would you quit? I mean, I understand where people were going with that, but I also think this is a little bit of a different situation. You've made a commitment to your college football team and your teammates. That offensive line's been blocking for you. Your receiver's been catching the ball.
Yep.
You've been showing up to meetings. You've been going to weight training. You guys been working together. That's the part of it that, and like Greg said a moment ago, if you agreed to in February, why have you even been there at all?
Exactly.
You waited till you're 3-0 in a bye week. And
your expenses hadn't been paid for 6 months. Living expenses.
That's where I just.
It's wild, man.
John, your thoughts?
I think the dude is a quitter. The only thing that where I may slightly defend him is if we're saying that more or less these players are treating everything like the NFL, then how many times have we seen in the NFL a player outperform their contract early and say, hey, I want to negotiate, I want a new contract?
Mid-season?
I generally no, but again, the kids these days are stupid. But
that's the problem that we have. I don't think anyone has an issue if he plays this year, they have a great year, and he goes back to the table in the offseason, talks to the UNLV collective and everything, and says, hey, guys, I'd like to have a little more money. Just had a great year. I outperformed my contract. I want more. That's at the end of the year. That's not after 4 games. That's the difference. This is totally above board. This is not a problem. It's just a time and place. And right now, after 4 weeks and an undefeated start, is not the time nor the place.
Which is why I view him as a quitter. Yeah, if he were to wait and have done this then, or if, like I mentioned earlier, maybe if he were to hold out, I give him maybe like an 1/8 of a 1/10 of 1% of credit for like, okay, yeah, maybe, okay, fine. But still, the ends don't justify the means. Like, you still could be out here playing with your teammates and doing all that and figuring out a way. But no, like, you decided to take your ball and run, and now you get to live with it.
Pete Thamel is tweeting out, former UNLV quarterback Matthew Sluka's NIL representation, Marcus Cromartie of Equity Sports, told ESPN that Sluka verbally promised a minimum of $100,000 from a UNLV assistant coach for transferring there. None of that money was paid, per Cromartie. That right there just entered into a gigantic ocean of gray area, is what you just did. You just said, welcome into the gray universe, because it tells me, 1, you don't have it in writing and there was no contract. 2, you're putting it on an assistant coach that allegedly told you that. So now you're going to have to prove that assistant coach told you that, and assistant coach is probably going to have to prove that he didn't tell him that. And like, here's the thing with a lot of this all the time. I mean, what do we usually say? Prove it, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Slukas are coming out in full force right now. Okay, it's their turn. Just send the text. Send the documentation. You don't think Pete Thamel would love to have that? You don't think Pete Thamel's putting a story up right now, tweeting that out right this second? You don't think Ravel will put that out right now? I'm going to say, you don't think Rittenberg will put that out immediately? And that would get your message sent. That would end this story right now. I'm saying, if you've got it, put it out there right now. Don't see it yet, though. Like Greg said, it feels like this is going to go to a he said, she said, and that's kind of where it's going to end up. And then if you want to believe the kid, you believe the kid. If you want to believe the team, you believe the team. Based on people I've spoken to, right now I believe the team. What do we find harder to believe? That he was offered $100,000 in February and has not gotten a dime and hasn't even had his, quote, living expenses paid? Or to believe that he walked in there after bye week being 3-0, ranked for the first time in a long time, and said, we want X. And coaching staff said, no, absolutely not. We'll stay with what we're paying our backup and we'll ride with him. Which do you believe more? I guess we have to pick. UNLV was a 4-point favorite Tuesday night After Matthew Sluka announcing he was going to sit out the rest of the season, according to Brett McMurphy, UNLV's down to a pick'em.
Dang, he's worth that many points? Let's ride.
Why do you think he tried to get more money?
Right.
I'm about to say, hang on, 300K? I need more. I'm worth a touchdown?
Wow.
That's crazy.
On 3 is tweeting out, new! Matthew Sluka's NIL representation said he was offered a minimum of $100,000 to transfer. He allegedly only received $3,000 for relocation. That could qualify as living expenses, by the way. Just saying.
Well, you got to think taxes in Las
I
Vegas.
still
and stuff.
am trying to figure out.
No state
I'm
income
still
taxes in
really
Nevada, so
curious,
you're
and
good.
I
That is
really
true.
want to know, badly want to know. If he didn't get $1 from March until September, and he's been on campus for however many months and has been going through fall camp, still haven't gotten $1, not $1, allegedly.
$3,000 to relocate.
$3,000 to relocate, did all that. That's fine. But if you haven't gotten $1, then why did you tee it up in the first game of the year?
Exactly.
That's what I don't understand. Like, if you haven't got $1, and this is clearly like misrepresentation from the beginning in your eyes, then how did it even get to this point? Like, why now? I just feel like I don't know. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, would that hold up in the court of law? I don't know. I think I'd like to see some proof on both sides. But I happen to believe that he went in demanding a certain amount of money based on what I've been told. And that is how it's gone down. And they said, no, we're good. I think he thought he had leverage and doesn't appear like he did as much. So we'll see. But there's no way you're going to get to the bottom of it. Whatever side you're on, you're just going to pick it and you're going to stick with it. And you're just going to choose to believe what you choose to believe.
You're
And
gonna
there's
ride with
nothing
that?
wrong with whatever you choose. We'll just have to agree to disagree. That's perfectly fine with me.
Adam Rittenberg following up. Bob Sluka told me that when Matt reported to UNLV, he was told NIL deal would be distributed via payment plan, then was told to wait until classes started. Then the games. During a September 19th call, Matt's agent was told UNLV would not pay anything other than $3,000 relocation cost. So you're minus 97,000, and your quarterback has been starting and doing some good things for you, and you're 3-0. And you're going Macho Man Savage off the top rope with an ask for money that apparently was promised. It doesn't seem like bad ball. It seems like the worst ball, and some ball that a lot of teams would probably never play.
Never.
Because you know what the repercussions of that are going to be. And unfortunately, I feel like this is going to get uglier and uglier and uglier. And I do agree with Greg. I don't feel like we will ever have the full story here. Brian Traywick is tweeting in at Cole Cubelic. Stop the holier than now attitude. You didn't preach for years while schools profited off indenture servitude. The schools knew the issues, didn't fix them, and media, you, didn't bring attention to them fixing the problem.
Indentures like teeth in your mouth?
Remind me, did you play?
I think so.
Okay.
Just trying to make sure. Trying to make sure.
I just wanted to make sure.
You did play a little ball, right?
Yeah, you just want to make sure you played and you were one of those, quote, indentured servants. Just want to make sure that that was articulated appropriately because last I checked, there are a lot of players that gained a lot more from the school than the school gained from them. A lot of guys that never played or guys that got full scholarships and didn't graduate with an ounce of debt. And there's a lot of benefits to being a college player. I never considered, indentured servitude as something that the school spends $100,000 on you every year, on your food, on your tuition, on your room and board, on your gear, on the other things that you get along with it, scholarship checks, cost of attendance, massages, treatment, full therapy, insurance, things like that. I mean, all that is covered by the school while you're in school. So I've never felt like it was one of those things where you were taken advantage of. I've always felt that way, but some people don't see it that way.
No.
But most of those people probably didn't play. So I trust the people that did, like you and I, and that's kind of the way I line up.
All right, we'll continue to let you know details of this as they emerge. Also, let you know about Wayne's. You're probably not thinking about your yard looking good for next spring. We're about to enter the cold months, dormant season here. You need to get your yard prepared now, so it'll be the envy of your neighborhood then. G-Mac, tell our listeners how Wayne can help them out.
Well, Wayne's will get you taken care of. I love the grass. I love the yard. Being able to go out front, it's been awesome, man. We've really enjoyed it as a family. And right now, you can get the Envirolawn service. First month free if you use .com. You can also call them at 866-WAYNES1. Use the offer code JOCKS and let Wayne's continue to create your happy place.
All right, when we come back, bad box score of the day and any more details emerging from this situation at UNLV next on Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, 9:54 a.m. Wednesday, September 25th, right here on Jocks 94.5.
Bill Smith Buick GMC is the GMC Dealer of the Year, the national champs. You can go and check out what they got on the lot, like a GMC Sierra Denali, $2,500. That's the big boy. $90,000 plus is the list price. You get it for just over $83,000. They're taking $7,000 off a truck that is very difficult to get your hands on. It's a beautiful vehicle, heavy duty vehicle that you will appreciate. And to make that even sweeter, they're going to give you 5.9% for 84 months. That's an amazing rate for an incredible deal on an incredible truck. So go and see the GMC Dealer of the Year, the 7-time national champion, right up there in Coleman off I-65 exit 310 Highway 31. You can also shop online, have it delivered right to your driveway at Bill Smith Buick, GMC.com.
All right, let's get to our bad box score of the day. We didn't get to it on Monday. I wasn't in, so we will go to our chosen sons today. And that is the Soldotna
Superstars.
That too.
taking on the Wasilla
Wombats.
They're the Vikings.
I'll say the Whales.
They're the Warriors. Wales, good guess, by the way,
yeah.
for an Alaska high school team. By the way, when I was searching to see some details on this game, Wasilla is 3 hours and 45 minutes from Soldotna.
Oh,
Just saying, that's a hike.
that's a
Yeah.
long trip.
Might literally be a hike. It's Alaska.
Oh, wow. Come on. Nonetheless, our chosen sons, no one's going to find this hard to believe, stay undefeated and get to 6-0 on the season with a 63-21 win at
Wow.
Wasilla. So 3.5 hour bus ride through the mountains, past the Palmer Moose, into the Wasilla Warrior territory, and our chosen sons stay undefeated at 6-0 with another bad box score of the day.
Another one.
Great show today. Trent Dilfer was with us. Kale Gundy, DJ Shockley, Josh Sneed was in studio. If you missed any of those, go to jocksfm.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get yours. The YouTube video stays up. You can go check that out. Jocks945, where you search that. More college football coming your way. I imagine the conversation about a UNLV quarterback going to continue on three-man front. We'll be back tomorrow to discuss that and more right here on Jocks 94.5.